Do you believe a bride can destroy her own wedding? Celine Hartwell did exactly that. Not out of anger, but because she heard the truth. 40 minutes before the ceremony, she discovered her fiancé was using her for money. No tears, no hesitation, only revenge. She walked down that aisle like a weapon. What happened next changed everything. Stay with me until the end of this story, hit that like button, and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this tale has traveled. Because what Celine did that day, most people wouldn't have the spine for it. The bridal suite smelled like expensive flowers and lies. Celine Hartwell stood in front of a full-length mirror, staring at a wedding gown she hadn't touched in 20 minutes. White silk, hand-beaded lace, a train that cost more than most people's cars. It hung on a padded hanger like evidence of a crime she was about to commit against herself. She wasn't wearing it. Instead, she'd put on a white power suit, sharp shoulders, razored lapels, tailored so precisely it looked like armor. The kind of outfit you wore to fire someone, or bury them. Her phone buzzed. Again, she ignored it. Again. 43 minutes until the ceremony. 43 minutes until she became Mrs. Caleb Vance, until the trust fund her father had locked behind a marriage clause finally opened, until 300 guests watched her promise forever to a man she was starting to suspect didn't actually exist. Not the real him, anyway. The version she'd fallen for, charming, attentive, just broken enough to be interesting, was too smooth, too calculated. She'd ignored the signs for months because it was easier than admitting she'd been played. Her maid of honor, Ivy, burst through the door without knocking. Jesus Christ, Celine, you're not even... She stopped mid-sentence, taking in the suit. What the hell are you wearing? Something honest. That's not an answer. Ivy's voice had that edge it got when she was trying to control something spinning out of her grip. The photographer's having a meltdown. Your mother's already on her third mimosa, and Caleb's been asking for you every 5 minutes. You need to get in that dress. Now. Celine turned away from the mirror. Did you bring the earpiece? Ivy blinked. What earpiece? The one the wedding planner uses. For coordinating during the ceremony. Why would you... Just get it. Something in Celine's voice made Ivy stop arguing. She disappeared into the hallway and came back 60 seconds later with a small, flesh-colored earpiece and a wireless receiver the size of a lipstick tube. Here, but I swear to God, if you're planning some kind of... I'm not planning anything. Celine took the devices, her fingers steady. I'm just listening. Ivy stared at her like she'd started speaking a language she didn't recognize. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. I am. Then don't do this. Whatever this is. Go check on my mother, Celine said quietly. Make sure she doesn't talk to any reporters before the ceremony. Celine, please. Ivy hesitated, then left. The door clicked shut with a sound like a vault ceiling. Celine fitted the earpiece into her left ear and turned on the receiver. Static hissed, then cleared. Wedding planner chatter, someone panicking about the flower arrangements, someone else confirming the string quartet was ready. She adjusted the frequency dial. More voices. Kitchen staff. Parking attendants. Guests arriving. Then she found it. Caleb's voice. Crystal clear. Just need to keep her calm until midnight. After that, it doesn't matter. Celine's hand froze on the dial. Another voice. Male. Unfamiliar. And if she figures it out before then? She won't. Caleb's laugh was soft, casual, like he was discussing the weather. Celine's not stupid, but she's emotional. That's the leverage. She wants to believe in this so badly she'll ignore every red flag I've waved in her face for the past year. Her breath stopped. You sure about that? The other man asked. Because if this falls apart, it won't. Trust fund activates at midnight on our wedding day. 15 million transfers into our joint account. I wait exactly 90 days. The legal minimum to avoid suspicion, then file for divorce. No fault. Quick. Clean. And her? She keeps whatever she wants. The house, the cars. I don't give a shit. I'm walking away with 7 million minimum after the split. More if I play the settlement right. Celine's knees felt like water. The unfamiliar voice again. You're a cold son of a bitch, Vance. I'm practical. There's a difference. Papers rustled. This was never about her. It was always about the trust. Her father was smart enough to lock it behind a marriage requirement, but not smart enough to specify what kind of marriage. One signature, one night, and I'm free. What if she doesn't sign the joint account paperwork?
She already did, 3 weeks ago. I told her it was for our future. She cried when she signed it. Actually cried. That laugh again, softer, crueler. God, she made this so easy. The receiver slipped through Celine's fingers. It hit the carpet without making a sound.
She stood there, frozen, her reflection staring back at her from the mirror. The suit suddenly made perfect sense. So did the sick feeling she'd been swallowing for months every time Caleb touched her, every time he said, "I love you," with a smile that never reached his eyes. She'd known. Some part of her had known the whole time. Her phone buzzed again. A text from Caleb. "Can't wait to see you. I love you so much." She read it 3 times. Then she picked up the receiver, rewound the frequency log, and found the audio file. Caleb's voice, digitally stored, time-stamped, ready. Her hand stopped shaking. The door opened. Ivy again. "Celine, it's time. They're asking for, are you okay?" "No." "What happened?" Celine turned the receiver over in her palm. "Do you know how to connect this to the chapel sound system?" "Why would you? Yes or no?" Ivy's eyes widened. "You want to broadcast something during the ceremony. Yes or no, Ivy?" A pause, then, "Marcus works in tech. He's probably already setting up the microphones. If you give me that, I can have him patch it in." She stepped closer. "What's on there?" "The truth." "Celine, will you do it or not?" Ivy looked at her for a long moment. Then she took the receiver. "Give me 5 minutes." She left. Celine turned back to the mirror. The woman staring back at her looked like a stranger, or maybe she looked like herself for the first time in a year. She picked up her phone and opened the banking app. Joint account, 15 million, locked and loaded, set to transfer at midnight. Everything Caleb said was real, documented, legal. She closed the app and opened her contacts, scrolled to her lawyer's name, dialed.
"James? It's Celine. I need you at the chapel, now. No, I'm not calling it off. I'm calling an audible." She paused. "Bring the prenup contracts, the ones Caleb refused to sign, and I need to know exactly what happens if I don't complete the marriage ceremony but still meet the trust fund activation requirements within the 24-hour window." She listened. A legal marriage before midnight, doesn't specify who. She looked at herself in the mirror. "Find me the loophole, James, and find it in the next 30 minutes. She hung up. Her mother's voice echoed from the hallway, slurred and bright. "Where's my daughter? I need to see my beautiful daughter." Celine locked the door. 28 minutes until the ceremony. She sat down on the chaise lounge, pulled out her compact, and fixed her lipstick. Red. Not bridal pink. War paint. The earpiece crackled. Caleb's voice. "Is she ready yet?" The wedding planner. "Almost, Mr. Vance. Just a few more minutes." "Good. Make sure the photographer gets shots of her walking down the aisle. I want to remember her face when she sees me." Celine smiled. He had no idea. Ivy slipped back in through the door. "It's done. Marcus patched the feed into the main speakers. It'll play on your signal." "What signal?" "You give me a thumbs up from the aisle. He'll start the playback." Celine stood. "Where's Marcus now?" "Sound booth, back corner." "Why?" "Tell him to stand by, and tell him not to stop the recording no matter who tells him to." Ivy's face went pale. "What are you about to do?" "Walk down an aisle." "Celine." "He was using me, Ivy, the whole time, every word, every touch, every promise. It was all just set up for a money grab." Her voice didn't shake. "I heard him say it. Out loud. To someone else." Ivy's expression shifted. "You recorded it." "He recorded himself. I just happened to be listening." "And now you're going to—" "Yes, in front of 300 people. 300 witnesses." Ivy exhaled slowly. "You're sure about this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." A knock at the door. The wedding planner's voice, sugary and strained. "Miss Hartwell, it's time." Celine looked at Ivy. "Do I look like a bride?" "You look like a hitman." "Perfect." She opened the door. The wedding planner's smile faltered when she saw the suit. Oh dear, that's not the dress." "No, it's not. But the photographer." "Will get exactly what I give him." Celine stepped into the hallway. "Let's go." The planner's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Mr. Vance is going to get exactly what he deserves."
Celine walked towards the chapel entrance, her heels clicking against marble like a countdown. The hallway stretched long and white, lined with roses and candles, and all the set dressing of a fairy tale she'd bought into because she wanted it to be true. Not anymore. The double doors to the chapel loomed ahead. Behind them, 300 people were waiting for a wedding. They were about to get something else entirely. The planner rushed ahead, whispering frantically into her headset. Celine caught fragments. Not in the dress. Yes, I know. No, she won't listen. Good. She reached the doors, stopped, breathed. Her mother appeared from a side hallway, champagne glass in hand, eyes bright and unfocused. There you are. Oh my God, what are you? Why aren't you in your... Go sit down, Mom. Celine, this isn't funny. You look like you're going to a business meeting, not a... Sit down. Something in her voice made her mother step back. She blinked, confused, then turned and wobbled toward the chapel entrance. Ivy appeared at Celine's elbow. Marcus is ready. You sure about this? No. But you're doing it. Yes. The music shifted. Pachelbel's canon. The processional, her cue. The doors opened. 300 faces turned toward her. Celine saw it all in one sweeping glance. The flowers, the candles, the vaulted ceiling, the stained glass throwing colored light across polished wood. At the far end, standing at the altar in a custom tuxedo, Caleb Vance smiled at her like she was everything he'd ever wanted. She stepped onto the white runner. No bouquet, no veil, just her in a suit that fit like conviction. She walked. Not slow, not performative, just steady, even pacing, one foot in front of the other. Caleb's smile didn't falter, but his eyes narrowed slightly, confusion flickering at the edges. Halfway down the aisle, she made eye contact with Marcus in the sound booth. She raised her thumb. He nodded. 5 seconds later, Caleb's voice filled the chapel. Just need to keep her calm until midnight. After that, it doesn't matter. The music stopped. Every head turned toward the speakers. The second voice, and if she figures it out before then? Caleb's laugh, piped through professional-grade sound equipment, echoed off the vaulted ceiling. She won't. Celine's not stupid, but she's emotional. That's the leverage. Celine kept walking, Caleb's face drained of color. Trust fund activates at midnight on our wedding day. 15 million transfers into our joint account. I wait exactly 90 days, the legal minimum to avoid suspicion. Then file for divorce. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She keeps whatever she wants. I'm walking away with 7 million minimum after the split. Someone in the third row said, "Oh my God!" Caleb lunged for the altar microphone. "Turn that off. Turn it." The officiant stepped back, hands raised. This was never about her. It was always about the trust. Celine reached the front, stopped, looked at Caleb. His face was white, furious, terrified. She made this so easy. The recording ended. Silence crashed down like a collapsing building. 300 people stared. Celine turned to face them, took the microphone from the officiant's frozen hands. "That," she said clearly, "is the man I was about to marry." Her mother made a small, broken sound. Caleb reached for her arm. "Celine, let me explain." She stepped back. "Don't." "That recording, it's out of context. It's time-stamped from 40 minutes ago, Caleb. There is no context that saves you." His jaw tightened. The charm dropped away like a mask shattering. What was underneath was cold, sharp. "You have no idea what you just did." "I know exactly what I did. I stopped you from stealing $15 million. That money was always going to be ours. No, it was going to be yours. For 90 days, then you were gone." Someone in the crowd whispered, "Jesus Christ." Caleb's best man, standing awkwardly at the altar, cleared his throat. "Maybe we should take this somewhere private?" "No," Celine's voice carried. "We're doing this here, in front of everyone, because I want witnesses." Caleb's lawyer, seated in the second row, already pulling out his phone, stood up. "Miss Hartwell, I strongly advise you not to... advise your client to shut his mouth before I play the recording again." The lawyer sat down. Celine turned back to Caleb. "I'm ending this engagement, publicly, permanently, and I'm keeping every dollar you thought you were going to take." His face twisted. "You can't access the trust without getting married. Your father made sure of that. You need a husband by midnight or you lose everything." "I know. Then you just screwed yourself." He stepped closer.
voice dropping to a hiss. You think you're so smart? You just burned the only option you had. That money's gone, Celine, and you did it to yourself. She smiled. It was not a kind smile. I still have 11 hours, she said. Plenty of time to find someone who isn't you. The crowd erupted in whispers. Caleb laughed. It sounded like something breaking. You're not serious. I'm getting married tonight, just not to you. To who? You think someone's just going to... I will. The voice came from the back of the chapel. Every head turned. A man stood in the last row. Tall, dark hair, sharp suit. He hadn't been there during the processional. Or maybe he had, and nobody noticed him until he wanted to be noticed. Celine didn't recognize him, but Caleb did. His face went from white to gray. No, Caleb whispered. No, you can't. The man walked down the aisle, slow, controlled, like he owned every inch of ground he stepped on. He stopped next to Celine, looked at her for the first time. His eyes were dark, unreadable, and absolutely certain. My name is Darius Kwan, he said quietly, and I'll marry you tonight. Celine stared at him. Why? Because he... Darius tilted his head toward Caleb. Owes me $8 million, and marrying you just became the fastest way to collect. The chapel went dead silent. Caleb's face contorted. You son of a... Careful. Darius's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. You're already underwater. Don't make it worse. Celine looked between them. What is he talking about? Your ex-fiancé took out several high-interest loans to fund a lifestyle he couldn't afford, Darius said. He planned to use your trust fund to pay me back. Now that's not happening. He looked at her directly. But if you marry me instead, I can legally restructure his debt in ways that make his life very uncomfortable. And you keep your inheritance. That's extortion, Caleb snarled. No, it's business. Darius turned back to Celine. I'm offering you a legal solution, a contract marriage. You get access to your trust. I get leverage over him. We both walk away with what we need. Celine's mind spun. You want to marry me for revenge. I want to marry you for $8 million and the satisfaction of watching him lose everything he tried to steal. Darius's expression didn't change. You want to marry me because it's the only move you have left that doesn't end with you broke and him laughing. She should say no. She should walk away from all of it, the chapel, the money, the insanity of marrying a complete stranger, just to spite a man who'd tried to destroy her. But Caleb was staring at her with pure hatred now, all pretense gone, and she realized something. She didn't want to walk away. She wanted to burn him to the ground. Do you have a marriage license? She asked Darius. I can have one in 20 minutes. Prenup? Already drafted. My lawyer's outside. She looked at him. Really looked. He wasn't handsome in a conventional way. Too sharp. Too controlled. But there was something honest in the coldness. He wasn't pretending to care about her. He wasn't pretending at all. That was more than Caleb had ever given her. 1 year, she said. Contract marriage. Separate finances except for the trust fund clause. After 1 year, clean divorce. No drama. Agreed. I'm keeping the house. I don't want your house. And you stay out of my business unless it affects your debt collection. Fair. She held out her hand. Then we have a deal, Mr. Kwan. He shook it. His grip was firm, professional, and somehow terrifying. Caleb exploded. This is insane. You don't even know him. I know enough. Celine turned to the officiant, who looked like he was watching a car crash in slow motion. Can you legally marry us right now if we have the license? The officiant's mouth opened. Closed. Yes, technically, but then we'll be back in 30 minutes. She looked at Darius. Get the license. I'll handle the prenup. He nodded and walked toward the exit. Celine turned to face the crowd. 300 stunned faces stared back at her. There will be a wedding tonight, she said into the microphone. Just not the one you expected. If you'd like to stay, the bar is open. If not, I understand. Nobody moved. Her mother stood up, swaying slightly. Celine Margaret Hartwell, you cannot marry a stranger. Watch me. She handed the microphone back to the officiant and walked down the aisle. Caleb grabbed her arm as she passed. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. She looked at his hand on her sleeve, then at his face. No, she said quietly. The biggest mistake was believing you. She pulled free and kept walking. Behind her, the chapel erupted in chaos. She didn't look back. Celine made it to the bridal suite before her hands started shaking. She locked the door, leaned against it,
and let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped in her chest for the past hour. The adrenaline was wearing off. Reality was setting in. She'd just agreed to marry a complete stranger, a stranger who'd appeared out of nowhere, who knew exactly how much Caleb owed, who'd watched the entire spectacle unfold and saw an opportunity. Her phone buzzed. James, her lawyer. "Tell me you didn't just do what I think you did," he said when she answered. "I did." "Celine, is it legal?" A pause. "If he has a valid marriage license and you both consent, yes. But this is insane. You don't know this man. You don't know what he wants." "He told me what he wants. Leverage over Caleb." "And you believe him?" She looked at herself in the mirror. The suit was still perfect. She looked like she'd just walked out of a hostile takeover, not a wedding gone nuclear. "I believe him more than I believed Caleb." James sighed. "I'm coming up. Don't sign anything until I review it." He hung up. Celine sat down on the chaise lounge and pulled off her heels. Her feet ached. Everything ached. She'd been running on fury for the past hour, and now that it was quiet, the exhaustion hit like a freight train. A knock at the door. "It's me," Ivy said. "Let me in." Celine unlocked it. Ivy slipped inside, her face pale. "The chapel is a war zone. Caleb's screaming at anyone who'll listen. Your mother's crying in the front row, and half the guests are filming this on their phones. Let them." "Celine, this is going to be everywhere by tomorrow. Society pages, gossip blogs, probably the actual news." "Good. Let everyone see what he was trying to do." Ivy sat down next to her. "Who the hell is Darius Kwan?" "I have no idea." "And you're marrying him?" "Apparently." Ivy stared at her. "You've lost your mind." "Probably. This isn't a joke." "I know." Celine looked at her hands. They'd stopped shaking. Caleb was going to take everything. The trust, the money, probably the house. He had it all mapped out, and I was going to let him because I wanted to believe he loved me. "So instead you're marrying someone who definitely doesn't love you." "At least he's honest about it." Ivy's expression softened. "This is revenge. You know that, right? This whole thing, it's just revenge." "So?" "So revenge doesn't fix anything. It just makes you feel powerful for a minute, and then you're stuck with the consequences." Celine stood up, walked to the window. Outside, guests were spilling onto the lawn, phones out, voices raised. She could see Caleb near the fountain, surrounded by his groomsmen, gesturing wildly. "I don't want to fix anything," she said quietly. "I want him to lose, the way I almost lost." Another knock. James's voice. "It's me! Open up!" Ivy let him in. James looked exactly like a lawyer who'd just had his Sunday ruined. Rumpled suit, loosened tie, briefcase clutched like a weapon. He dropped it on the coffee table and pulled out a thick stack of papers. "Darius Kwan's lawyer just sent this over," he said, flipping through pages. "Prenuptial agreement, contract marriage terms, financial separation clauses." And? "And it's airtight, almost suspiciously so." James looked up at her. "This was drafted weeks ago, Celine. He's been planning this." The room went cold. "What do you mean, weeks ago?" "The document metadata shows it was created 3 weeks before today. He knew about Caleb. He knew about your trust. He's been waiting for this." Celine's stomach dropped. "He set this up. Or he saw it coming and prepared." James set the papers down. "Either way, he's not some random stranger who happened to be in the chapel. He's been watching you." Ivy stood up. "That's stalker behavior. That's strategic," James interrupted. "And honestly, the terms are fair. You keep full control of the trust fund after it activates. He gets nothing except the ability to restructure Caleb's debt under marital financial protections. 1-year term, clean divorce, no alimony either direction." "Then what does he actually get out of this?" Celine asked. "Caleb's debt becomes marital debt the moment you sign the license, which means Darius can legally go after joint assets, freeze accounts, file liens, basically make Caleb's life a financial nightmare without ever breaking a law." "That's all he wants? To destroy Caleb?" James met her eyes. $8 million is a lot of money to lose. People have done worse for less. Celine looked at the contract. Pages and pages of legal language, all of it designed to protect both parties while manufacturing maximum damage to a third. "What happens if I don't sign?" "You lose the trust, Caleb walks away clean, and Darius goes back to waiting for his money." James crossed his arms. "But I'm guessing you already know that." She did. The door opened without knocking. Darius Kwan walked in holding a folder. He stopped when he saw James and Ivy. "You're her lawyer," he said to James. Not a question. "I am." "Good. Then you've reviewed the prenup." "I have." "Questions?" James hesitated. "Why 3 weeks ago?" Darius didn't blink. "Because 3 weeks ago, Caleb missed his third payment. I started monitoring his assets. Your client's trust fund was listed as his primary collateral." "So you've been planning this?" "I've been preparing for multiple scenarios. This one happened to play out." "Convenient. I prefer the term efficient." Darius turned to Celine. "I have the marriage license. We can file it tonight and complete the ceremony within the hour. Or you can walk away. Your choice." His voice was flat, professional, like he was offering her a business proposal, not a marriage. Celine looked at him, really looked. He was probably late 30s, maybe early 40s. Tailored suit, expensive watch, haircut with surgical precision. Everything about him screamed control. No wasted movement, no unnecessary emotion. "What happens after tonight?" she asked. "You go to your home. I go to mine. We maintain separate lives. In 1 year, we file for divorce. Simple. And Caleb? I destroy him financially, legally, thoroughly. No hesitation, no satisfaction, just fact." "You hate him that much?" "I don't hate him at all. I just want my money back, and I want to make sure he never borrows from me again." Ivy made a small sound. "That's sociopathic." Darius looked at her. "That's business." "This isn't business. This is a marriage." "No, this is a contract that happens to use marriage as a legal vehicle. There's a difference." Celine felt something shift in her chest. Caleb had pretended to love her while planning to rob her. Darius wasn't pretending anything. He wanted revenge. She wanted protection. It was transactional, clear, honest. "I need one thing," she said. Darius waited. "I need to know you're not going to try to control me. My money, my choices, my life. You get your revenge on Caleb, but I'm not becoming anyone's property in the process." He nodded once. "Agreed. I have no interest in controlling you." "Then we have a deal." James made a strangled sound. "Celine, draw up the final documents. I'll sign them before the ceremony." "You're making a massive mistake." "Probably, but it's my mistake to make." She looked at Darius. 1 hour. I need to change and deal with my mother. I'll be at the altar." He turned and left without another word. The door closed. Ivy grabbed Celine's arm. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. You don't know him. You don't know what he's capable of." "I know what Caleb's capable of. And I know I'd rather deal with someone who tells me the truth, even if it's ugly." James started packing up the contracts. "I'll have everything ready in 30 minutes. But for the record, I think this is the worst decision you've ever made." "Noted." He left. Ivy stayed. "What are you really doing?" she asked quietly. Celine sat down and pulled the wedding gown off its hanger, looked at it, all that silk and lace and bullshit hope. "I'm surviving," she said. "That's all." She stood up and started taking off the suit jacket. Ivy watched her. "You're going to wear the dress?" "No, but I'm going to burn it later. Right now I need to look like a bride for the legal paperwork." "You've thought this through." "I've had a very educational hour." Celine pulled on the gown. It fit perfectly, of course. Caleb had insisted on 6 fittings to make sure every detail was flawless. She wondered now if he'd been thinking about how good she'd look in the photos he planned to use in the divorce proceedings. Ivy zipped her up in silence. Then, "Are you scared?" Celine looked at herself in the mirror. The dress transformed her, made her look soft, vulnerable. Everything she wasn't feeling. Terrified, she admitted. "But I'm more scared of what happens if I don't do this." "Caleb can't touch the money if you don't marry anyone." "No, but he walks away clean and I lose everything my father built." She turned around. "I'm not letting that happen." Ivy's eyes were wet. "I just don't want you to regret this." "I already regret trusting Caleb. At least with Darius, I know exactly what I'm getting." A commotion outside. Raised voices. Celine walked to the window. Down on the lawn, Caleb was arguing with someone. His face was red, his gestures sharp and angry. The someone was Darius. Caleb shoved him. Darius didn't move, didn't react, just stood there, absolutely still, while Caleb screamed in his face. Then Darius said something. Quiet. Celine couldn't hear it. Caleb went white. He stepped back, turned, walked away quickly, his groomsmen scrambling to follow.
Darius adjusted his cufflinks and headed back toward the chapel. What the hell did he say? Ivy whispered. Celine didn't answer. She was too busy trying to control the spike of fear that shot through her chest. Darius Kwan wasn't just strategic, he was dangerous, and she was about to legally bind herself to him. 20 minutes later, she was standing in front of James while he walked her through the contract one more time. Once you sign this, you're married for 1 year minimum. No early termination clause unless both parties agree. You sure about this? Celine picked up the pen. No, but I'm doing it anyway. She signed. James witnessed it. Ivy witnessed it. The officiant witnessed it. Done. I need a drink, James muttered. Get in line, Ivy said. Celine looked at the contract. Her signature. Permanent. Binding. No going back. Let's get this over with, she said. They walked back to the chapel. The crowd had thinned. Maybe 100 people remained, clustered in small groups, whispering. Her mother was gone, probably passed out in the bridal suite or being driven home by a relative. Caleb was also gone. Darius stood at the altar, hands clasped, expression neutral. Celine walked down the aisle for the second time that day. This time, nobody gasped, nobody whispered, they just watched. She reached the altar. Darius looked at her. Ready? No. You? No. The officiant cleared his throat. Shall we begin? The ceremony took 4 minutes. No vows, no rings, just the legal minimum. Do you, Celine Hartwell, take this man? I do. Do you, Darius Kwan, take this woman? I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you married, Celine finished. We know. The officiant blinked. You may kiss the... We're good, Darius said. They signed the marriage certificate. The officiant signed. The witnesses signed. Done. Married. The remaining guests applauded weakly. Celine looked at her new husband. He looked back. Now what? She asked. Now we go home. Your home or mine? Mine. We need to talk about next steps. I thought we were living separately. We are. But tonight, you're coming with me. There are things you need to understand before this goes any further. Something in his tone made her spine stiffen. What things? Things about Caleb, about your father, about why I was really in that chapel today. Her stomach dropped. You said you were there for the debt. I was, but that's not the only reason. He gestured toward the exit. Cars outside. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me Caleb isn't done. He's going to come after you, after the trust. He has resources you don't know about and allies you've never met. Darius's voice stayed level. You can come with me and learn how to protect yourself, or you can go home and wait for him to make his next move. Your choice. Celine's hands clenched. You're blackmailing me into... I'm offering you information. What you do with it is up to you. Ivy stepped forward. She's not going anywhere with you alone. Darius looked at her. Then come along. I don't care. Celine. It's fine. Celine's voice came out steadier than she felt. I'll go, but Ivy comes. Fine. They walked out of the chapel together. The car was a black Mercedes with tinted windows. The driver opened the door without speaking. Celine slid in. Ivy followed. Darius sat across from them. The door closed. The car pulled away. They drove in silence for 10 minutes before Celine couldn't take it anymore. Start talking. Darius pulled out a tablet, tapped it twice. A file opened. Your father didn't just leave you money, he said. He left you an empire, shipping routes, port access, logistics network spanning 6 continents. I know that. He ran a shipping company. No. He ran the infrastructure that every shipping company uses. The difference matters. Darius turned the tablet toward her. This is a map of his holdings. Documented assets total about 50 million. Undocumented assets are closer to 300 million. Celine stared at the screen. Lines, connections, networks spreading like veins across a map of the world. That's not possible. It's very possible. Your father was careful. He kept most of his assets off the books. Legal, but hidden. The trust fund you're accessing tonight? That's just the tip. Ivy leaned forward. How do you know all this? Because I own the other half. Silence. Celine looked at him. What? Your father and I were partners. Silent partners. He ran the eastern routes. I ran the western. We built the network together over 20 years. Darius's expression didn't change. When he died,
I inherited operational control of his half until you turned 25 and got married. As of tonight, that control transfers to you. Celine's head spun.
My father never mentioned you. He wasn't supposed to. That was the agreement. Why?
Protection. If anyone connected us publicly, the entire network becomes vulnerable to regulatory scrutiny, separate on paper, unified in practice. Ivy's voice was sharp. And you just happened to show up at her wedding? I've been monitoring Caleb for weeks. When I realized he was planning to steal the trust fund, I knew it would trigger the control transfer prematurely, so I prepared a contingency. Marrying her yourself. Yes, Celine's throat felt tight. So this whole thing, tonight, you orchestrated all of it. No, Caleb orchestrated his own destruction. I just made sure I was there to capitalize on it. That's the same thing. Not legally. Darius took the tablet back. You wanted the truth. Here it is. Your father's empire is now half yours. The other half is mine. We're business partners whether you like it or not. I don't like it. Noted. But it doesn't change the reality. The car turned onto a private road. Celine looked out the window. They were heading into the hills, away from the city, toward an area she didn't recognize. Where are we going? My home. You'll stay there tonight while we finalize the operational transfer. I'm not staying at your house. Yes, you are. Because Caleb knows where you live, and right now, he's dangerous. He's 8 million in debt, publicly humiliated, and legally bound to a marriage that gives me power over his assets. He's desperate, and desperate men make stupid decisions. Ivy grabbed Celine's hand. We should call the police. And tell them what? That a man might be angry? They can't do anything until he actually makes a move. Darius looked at Celine. I have security, cameras, protocols. You stay at my place tonight, and by tomorrow, we'll have legal protections in place. Celine wanted to argue, wanted to tell him to turn the car around and take her home. But she couldn't, because he was right. Caleb had looked at her with pure hatred in that chapel, and she'd just taken everything he thought he was going to steal. The car pulled through a gate. High walls, surveillance cameras, armed security at the checkpoint. They drove up a winding driveway to a modern compound perched on the hillside. Glass and steel, clean lines, no warmth. The car stopped. Darius got out first. This way. Celine and Ivy followed him inside. The interior was exactly what she expected. Minimalist furniture, expensive art, everything precisely placed. It looked like a showroom, not a home. Guest rooms are upstairs, Darius said. You'll both stay there tonight. We'll talk more in the morning. We're talking now, Celine said. He turned. You've had a long day. You're exhausted. This conversation can wait. No, it can't. She stepped closer. You've been lying to me since the moment you walked into that chapel. I haven't lied once. You said you were there for the debt. I was. But you were also there because of my father's empire. Both things can be true. Stop playing word games, her voice cracked. You manipulated me into marrying you. No, I gave you an option when you had none. There's a difference. You used me. We used each other. You got access to your trust. I got leverage over Caleb and control over your father's assets. It's transactional. We agreed to that. Selena's hands were shaking again. I didn't agree to being your business partner. You did. The moment you signed that marriage certificate. Darius's voice stayed level. Your father's will is clear. When you marry, operational control transfers to your spouse unless otherwise specified. You didn't specify otherwise, so now it's mine. The room tilted. That's theft. That's contract law. Ivy grabbed Celine's arm. We're leaving, right now. You're welcome to try, Darius said. But the gate's locked. Security won't let you through without my authorization, and it's a 3-mile walk back to the main road. You're holding us hostage. I'm keeping you safe. There's a difference. Celine looked at him. At this stranger she'd married. This man who'd lied by omission, who'd maneuvered her into signing away control of an empire she didn't even know existed. I want a lawyer, she said quietly. You have one. James. He can be here in the morning. I want him here now. It's midnight. He's not coming. Celine pulled out her phone. No signal. She looked at the screen, then at Darius. You're blocking the signal. Security protocol. The compound is shielded. That's illegal. It's private property, and it's for your protection. Ivy's voice was rising. This is kidnapping. You can't just...
I can. And I am. Darius walked to the bar, poured himself a drink. You're both free to leave in the morning, but tonight, you stay here, where it's safe, where Caleb can't reach you. He took a sip. Celine stood frozen. She'd walked into a trap. A legal, carefully constructed trap that she'd signed herself into. And now she was standing in a locked compound with a man who owned half of everything her father had built, and who now, through marriage, controlled the other half too. What do you really want? She asked. Darius set down his glass. I want to run the empire your father built, efficiently, profitably, without interference. He looked at her. You can be part of that, or you can walk away and let me handle it. Your choice. And if I fight you, then we both lose. The network collapses. The assets get seized. Everything your father spent 20 years building gets dismantled by regulators and competitors. You're threatening me. I'm explaining reality. Celine's vision blurred. Exhaustion, fury, fear, all of it crashing down at once. She'd escaped one trap and walked straight into another. Darius finished his drink. Guest rooms are upstairs, second and third doors on the left. Bathrooms are stocked. If you need anything, there's a call button by the bed. I need to leave. Tomorrow. Now. No. He walked past her toward the staircase. Celine grabbed his arm. He stopped, looked at her hand, then at her face. Let go, he said quietly. Tell me the truth, all of it, right now, or I swear I will find a way to destroy everything you just described. Something shifted in his expression. Not fear, not respect. Something colder. Your father didn't die in a car accident, he said. The floor dropped out from under her. What? He was killed, deliberately, because he was about to expose the people using our network to move something they shouldn't have been moving. Celine couldn't breathe. You're lying. I wish I was. Darius pulled his arm free. He came to me 3 days before he died, told me he'd found evidence of illegal shipments running through our routes, drugs, weapons, maybe worse. He wanted to shut it down. I told him to wait, to let me handle it quietly. And he didn't wait. He went to the authorities. 2 days later, his car went off a bridge. Darius's voice stayed flat. I've spent the past 3 years trying to find out who killed him, and I'm close. Very close. Celine's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the couch. Ivy was next to her immediately, arm around her shoulders. Why didn't you tell me this before? Celine whispered. Because you weren't ready, and because I needed to make sure you were protected before I brought you into this. Protected from what? From the people who killed your father. The ones who are still using our network. The ones who will kill you too if they find out you're asking questions. Celine looked up at him. Caleb, is he? No, Caleb's just a parasite. He's not part of this. Darius sat down across from her. But marrying you gave me legal access to your father's files, his records, everything he'd compiled before he died. That's what I really needed tonight. So you did use me. Yes. No hesitation, no apology, just the truth. Celine laughed. It sounded broken. My father's dead because he tried to do the right thing. Caleb tried to rob me, and you married me to solve a murder. She looked at Darius. Anyone else planning to destroy my life tonight? Or is that the complete list? That's the list. Great. She stood up, walked to the window. Outside, the city lights spread like scattered diamonds. Somewhere down there, Caleb was plotting his next move. Somewhere down there, people who'd killed her father were still operating. And she was trapped in a compound with a man who'd manipulated her into becoming his legal partner in an empire built on shipping routes and secrets and something dark enough to murder for. She'd thought walking out of that chapel was taking control. She'd been wrong. She'd just traded one cage for another. Behind her, Darius spoke quietly. I know this isn't what you wanted, but it's what we have. And if we're going to survive it, we need to work together. Celine didn't turn around. What if I don't want to survive it? What if I just want to burn the whole thing down? Then we both die, along with everyone connected to the network, including people who had nothing to do with your father's death. That's not my problem. Yes, it is, because you're married to me now, which makes you legally responsible for half of everything that happens next. She closed her eyes. Trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. I want to see my father's files, she said. Tomorrow. Now. A pause. Then, follow me.
Darius led her down a hallway to a locked office. He pressed his thumb to a scanner. The door opened. Inside was a war room. Maps. Photos. Documents pinned to boards. Red string connecting faces and locations like a conspiracy theorist's nightmare. In the center, a photo of her father. Alive. Smiling. Celine's chest cracked open. "This is everything I have," Darius said. 3 years of investigation. Names, routes, timelines. It's all here. She walked closer. Saw her father's handwriting on some of the documents. Recognized his notes. "He knew," she whispered. "He knew he was in danger." "Yes, and he tried to stop it anyway." "Yes?" She looked at Darius. "Why?" "Because he was a good man. Better than most. Better than me." For the first time since they'd met, Darius's voice carried something other than cold calculation. It carried regret. Celine touched her father's photo. Then she turned to Darius. "If I help you find who killed him, what do I get?" "Justice." "That's not enough." "What do you want?" She looked at the maps, the networks, the empire her father had built. "I want control. Real control. Not just my half. All of it." Darius studied her. "That would require me giving up mine." "Yes. Why would I do that?" "Because you need me to solve this. You said it yourself. You're close, but you haven't found them yet. You need someone on the inside, someone they don't know about, someone who can ask questions without raising alarms." "And that's you?" "That's me. My father's daughter. The one nobody's been watching because they thought I was just a rich girl playing dress-up." Darius's expression shifted. "You're proposing a partnership." "I'm proposing a hostile takeover. You help me find who killed my father. I help you clean out the network. And when it's done, I buy you out. Completely." "With what money?" "The trust fund you just helped me access. Plus whatever assets we seize from the people running illegal operations." He almost smiled. "That's ambitious." "You don't know me well enough to know what I'm capable of." "Neither do you." "Then I guess we're both about to find out." Silence stretched between them. Then Darius held out his hand. 1 year. We find your father's killers. We clean the network. Then we renegotiate our contract. Celine shook it. 1 year. His grip was firm. Hers was firmer. They stood in the war room, surrounded by 3 years of investigation and 20 years of empire building, bound together by a marriage certificate signed in revenge and desperation. And for the first time since she'd heard Caleb's voice through that earpiece, Celine felt something other than fear. She felt dangerous. Celine didn't sleep. She sat in the guest room until 4 in the morning, staring at the wall, her father's face burned into her mind. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him. Not the version in the photo downstairs, alive, smiling, but the way he'd looked in the casket. Gray, empty, wrong. They'd told her it was an accident, clean brake failure, tragic, no one to blame. She'd believed them because believing was easier than questioning, easier than imagining someone had wanted him dead. But now she knew, and the knowing was eating her alive. At 4:30, she gave up on sleep and went downstairs. The compound was silent, dark except for security lights glowing along the hallways. She moved quietly, bare feet on cold tile, until she reached the war room. The door was still unlocked. She slipped inside. The documents covered every surface. Maps with red circles marking ports in Shanghai, Rotterdam, Los Angeles. Photos of men she didn't recognize, shipping manifests with handwritten notes in her father's tight script. Financial records showing wire transfers to shell companies in the Caymans, Singapore, Switzerland. She picked up a manifest dated 2 weeks before his death. Container number, departure point, arrival location. Nothing unusual. But in the margin, her father had written, "Check cargo actual versus declared. Weights don't match." Her hand shook. He'd found something, and they'd killed him for it. "You shouldn't be in here alone." She spun around. Darius stood in the doorway, wearing the same clothes from earlier. He looked like he hadn't slept either. "I couldn't stop thinking about it," Celine said. "Neither could I, for 3 years." He walked to the center board, studied the web of connections. "Every time I think I'm close, the trail goes cold. Shell companies dissolve. Witnesses disappear. Bank accounts get emptied overnight. Someone's protecting them. Multiple someones. This network runs deep." He pulled down a photo. A man in his 50s, silver hair, expensive suit. "This is Marcus Hale, logistics director for Chen Shipping. one of the largest independent freight companies in the Pacific. You think he's involved? I know he is. Your father had a meeting with him the day before he died. They argued, publicly, at a conference in Seattle. Celine took the photo, studied the man's face. He looked respectable, trustworthy, exactly the kind of person who could hide in plain sight. What were they arguing about? Nobody knows. But 2 days later, your father was dead, and Hale took over 3 of your father's major shipping routes within a month. That's not a coincidence.
No, it's not. Darius pulled down another photo. A younger man, sharper features. This is Hale's son, Daniel. He runs the operational side, handles the day-to-day logistics. Celine's stomach turned. You think they're both involved? I think Marcus gave the order. Daniel executed it, but I can't prove it. Why not? Because the evidence your father collected disappeared the night he died. Someone cleaned out his office, took his laptop, his files, his phone. Everything. The police ruled it an accident before they even started investigating. Someone made sure of that. Celine set the photo down. Her hands were steady now, cold. Then we find new evidence. How? We get inside Chen Shipping, see what they're moving, where it's going. That's suicide. If they figure out what you're doing, they won't, because they don't know who I am. She turned to face him. You said it yourself. I'm just a rich girl playing dress-up. Nobody's watching me. Darius studied her. You're serious. Completely. This isn't a game. These people killed your father. They'll kill you without hesitation. Then I'll make sure they don't see me coming. Something shifted in his expression. Not approval exactly, recognition. You're not who I thought you were, he said quietly. Neither are you. They stood in the silence of the war room, surrounded by 3 years of failure and 20 years of secrets. Then Darius pulled out his phone. Made a call. Marcus? It's Darius Kwan. I need a meeting. Tomorrow, if possible. A pause. Yes, I'm aware it's short notice, but I have a business proposal I think you'll find interesting. Another pause. Lunch. Pier 17. 1 o'clock. Perfect. He hung up. Celine stared at him. You're meeting with him? The man you think killed my father? We're meeting with him. You're coming as my wife. He'll recognize my name. Not if you use mine. As of yesterday, you're Mrs. Kwan. Legally. Publicly. Darius's voice was flat. Marcus doesn't know about you. He knew your father, but he's never seen you. You were kept out of the business deliberately. Why? Because your father was smart. He knew the less visible you were, the safer you'd be. Celine's throat tightened. Her father had protected her. Even when he knew he was in danger, he'd made sure she stayed invisible. And now she was about to walk straight into the lion's den. What's the play? She asked. Simple. I tell him I'm consolidating shipping routes, that I've acquired new assets through marriage, your father's half of the network. I want to discuss a partnership. And when he realizes those assets give us access to his operations, he won't, not immediately. And by the time he does, we'll have what we need. Which is? Access to his manifests, shipping schedules, anything that shows what he's really moving through those routes. Celine's mind raced. How do we get that information? You do what rich wives do at business lunches. You get bored, excuse yourself to make a phone call, and while you're gone, you access his company server through the restaurant's Wi-Fi. I don't know how to hack into... You don't need to. I have software that does it for you. He pulled a small device from his pocket. Looked like a USB drive. Plug this into any device connected to Chen Shipping's network. It'll clone their entire database in under 2 minutes. That's illegal. So is killing your father. Celine took the device. It was lighter than she expected. What if I get caught? Then you apologize profusely, claim you grabbed the wrong device by mistake, and I extract you before security gets involved. That's your plan? Apologize and run? That's the contingency. The actual plan is you don't get caught. She looked at him. You've done this before. Several times. And it's worked? I'm still here. Not reassuring, but it was all she had. Fine. What time do I need to be ready? Noon. Wear something expensive. Look like you belong. I know how to dress for a business lunch, Darius. I'm sure you do, but this isn't just business. This is theater. You're playing a role. The trophy wife who doesn't ask questions. Something in his tone scraped against her nerves. I'm not actually your trophy wife. For tomorrow you are. So play the part convincingly. He walked out.
Celine stood alone in the war room, holding a device that could either prove her father was murdered or get her killed trying. She should be terrified. Instead, she felt something else. Focused. At 11 the next morning, Ivy found her in the guest room. "You look terrifying," Ivy said. Celine checked herself in the mirror. Black sheath dress, designer heels, minimal jewelry, hair pulled back in a sleek bun. Makeup perfect. She looked exactly like the kind of woman who married for money and didn't care about anything else. "That's the point. James called 6 times. He wants to know where you are. Tell him I'm handling something. He thinks Darius kidnapped you." "He kind of did." Ivy sat down on the bed. "What are you doing, Celine?" "Something my father would have done." "Your father's dead." The words hit like a slap. Celine turned around. "That's why I'm doing it. This is insane. You're walking into a meeting with a man who might have killed him. Not might have, did." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." Celine's voice was cold. "And I'm going to prove it." Ivy's face crumpled. "And then what? You think proving it brings him back?" "No, but it makes sure the people who did it don't get away with it." "At what cost?" "Whatever it takes." Ivy stood up, walked to the door, stopped. "You're not the same person who walked into that bridal suite yesterday." "Good. That person was stupid enough to almost marry Caleb." "That person was my best friend." Celine met her eyes. "I still am." "No, you're not. You're turning into something else. Something cold." Ivy's voice cracked. "And I'm scared I'm going to lose you completely." Then she left. The door closed with a soft click. Celine stood alone, staring at her reflection. Ivy was right. She wasn't the same person. She was something harder, sharper, and she didn't hate it. Darius knocked at noon exactly. "Ready?" "Yes." They drove to Pier 17 in silence. The restaurant was exclusive, the kind of place that required reservations months in advance and didn't list prices on the menu. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the harbor, white tablecloths, crystal stemware. Marcus Hale was already seated when they arrived. He stood when he saw Darius, extended his hand. "Darius, good to see you." "Marcus, this is my wife, Celine." Hale's gaze shifted to her. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Celine's blood went cold. "A pleasure," Hale said smoothly. He took her hand, held it a fraction too long. "You look familiar. Have we met?" "I don't think so," Celine said. Her voice came out steady, polite. "I'd remember." Perhaps you just have one of those faces." He released her hand. They sat down. Darius ordered wine, made small talk about shipping schedules and port regulations. Hale responded with practiced ease, his attention split between Darius and Celine. He was studying her, trying to place her. Celine played the part, smiled at appropriate moments, sipped her water, looked bored when the conversation turned technical. 15 minutes in, she excused herself. "Restroom," she said apologetically. "Too much coffee this morning." Darius barely glanced at her. Perfect. She walked through the restaurant, past the bar, down a hallway marked private. The office was at the end, unlocked. She slipped inside. A laptop sat open on the desk. Screensaver active, but not locked. She pulled out the USB device. Hands steady, plugged it in. The screen flickered. A progress bar appeared. Cloning data. 47 seconds remaining. Celine's heart hammered. 40 seconds. She moved to the window, watched the harbor, tried to look casual. 30 seconds. Footsteps in the hallway. 20 seconds. The door opened. Marcus Hale stood in the doorway. "Looking for something?" Celine's mind went blank. Then instinct kicked in. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought this was the restroom." She laughed, touched her hair. Perfect embarrassment. "These places are always such a maze." Hale didn't smile. He looked at the laptop, at the USB device, at her. "That's corporate property," he said quietly. "What is?" "The device you just plugged into my computer." Her stomach dropped. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." He stepped inside, closed the door. "You're Robert Hartwell's daughter." The world tilted. I knew I recognized you. You have his eyes." Hale walked closer. "Does Darius know who you really are, or did you lie to him too?" Celine backed up, hit the desk. "I'm not lying." "Then why are you stealing my data?" "I'm not—" "Stop." His voice was soft, dangerous.
I'm going to give you one chance to tell me the truth. Why are you here?
The progress bar hit 100%. The device beeped softly. Hale's eyes dropped to the laptop, then back to her. You're investigating me. Celine's hand moved, grabbed the USB, yanked it out. Hale lunged. She ducked under his arm, shoved past him, ran. He caught her wrist, pulled her back. Let go! She twisted, kicked. Her heel connected with his shin. He grunted, released her. She ran down the hallway, the device clutched in her fist. Darius was standing in the main dining room.
We need to leave, she said. Now. His expression didn't change. What happened? He knows who I am. Darius's jaw tightened. Marcus Hale emerged from the hallway. His face was composed, but his eyes were cold. Leaving so soon? He asked. Family emergency, Darius said smoothly. We'll reschedule. I don't think so, Hale gestured. Two men in suits appeared from the bar. Security. I think your wife and I need to have a conversation about corporate espionage.
The restaurant went quiet. Diners turned to stare. Celine felt the USB device burning in her palm. Darius stepped between her and Hale. She made a mistake. Wrong office. It happens. Does it? Hale's voice carried. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you brought Robert Hartwell's daughter into my restaurant to steal proprietary information. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone pulled out a phone, started recording. Darius's expression went arctic. Careful, Marcus. Accusing my wife of theft in public could be considered slander. Only if it's false. Hale looked at Celine. Is it false? Did you or did you not access my computer without permission? She couldn't speak. That's what I thought. Hale gestured to security. Detain her. I'm calling the police. Touch her, and I'll bury you, Darius said quietly. You're welcome to try. But I have witnesses, security footage, and whatever's on that device she's holding. Hale smiled. You're not walking out of here. Celine looked at Darius. He looked back. And in that moment, she saw it. He'd known. He'd known Hale would recognize her, known this was a trap. You set me up, she whispered. Darius's face stayed blank. No. You knew he'd figure out who I was. I suspected he might. You used me as bait. His silence was confirmation. The world collapsed. She'd trusted him, worked with him, married him, and he'd thrown her to the wolves. Security moved closer. Celine's hand tightened on the USB device. Then she made a choice. She threw it, not at security, not at Hale, at the window. The device hit the glass, bounced off, clattered to the floor. Hale lunged for it. Darius moved faster. He grabbed Celine's arm, yanked her toward the exit. Run! They ran. Through the restaurant, past shocked diners, out the front door. Security followed. Darius's car was already waiting, engine running. They dove inside. The driver didn't wait for instructions, just hit the gas. Tires screamed. The car lurched forward. Celine looked back. Security was shouting. Hale was on his phone. What the hell did you do? She yelled. Saved your life, Darius said. You threw me into that meeting knowing he'd recognize me. I needed to see his reaction, confirm he was involved. So you used me as a test subject? I used you as an asset. There's a difference. She hit him. Her fist connected with his jaw. Hard. Darius's head snapped to the side. I trusted you, she said. Her voice shook. I thought we were partners. He touched his jaw, blood on his lip. We are. Partners don't sacrifice each other. They do if it gets results. What results? I didn't get the data. I threw the device away. No, you threw a decoy away. He pulled an identical device from his pocket. I had two. The real one finished downloading before you ever left the table. Celine stared at it. You planned this. Yes. The whole thing, the panic, the run. Theater, like I said. Her hands were shaking. Why didn't you tell me? Because your reaction had to be genuine. If you'd known it was staged, Hale would have seen through it. So instead you let me think I was about to get arrested. Yes. That's... She couldn't find words. That's sociopathic. That's strategic. She wanted to hit him again, wanted to scream. Instead, she looked at the device in his hand. Did it work? Do we have proof?
Darius plugged it into his phone, scrolled through files. His expression changed. What? Celine leaned closer. What is it? He turned the screen toward her. It was a manifest. Dated 3 days before her father died. Container number. Departure, Shanghai. Arrival, Los Angeles. Declared cargo. Industrial machinery. Actual cargo. Unknown. Weight discrepancy. 4,000 pounds. Her father's handwriting in the margin. Check this. Something wrong. Below that, another note. Different handwriting. Handled. RH won't be a problem. Celine's vision blurred. RH Robert Hartwell. Her father. They documented it, she whispered. They wrote down that they were going to kill him. Not just that. Darius scrolled further. Look at the signature. She looked, and her world shattered. The signature wasn't Marcus Hale's. It wasn't Daniel Hale's. It was Caleb Vance's, her ex-fiancé. The man she'd almost married had ordered her father's death. Celine couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything except stare at that signature. No, she said. No, that's not possible. The date matches. The handwriting matches samples from his loan applications. Darius's voice was flat. Caleb worked for Chen Shipping 3 years ago. Junior logistics coordinator. He had access to manifests, shipping schedules, container assignments. Why would he? Money. He was already in debt. Marcus Hale needed someone expendable to handle the problem. Caleb volunteered. Celine's chest felt like it was collapsing. Caleb had killed her father, then spent a year pretending to love her, then tried to steal her inheritance, all of it, every moment, every touch, every lie. He'd been planning it from the beginning. I need to... She opened the car door. Darius grabbed her. What are you doing? I'm going to kill him. No, you're not. Let go of me. Celine, let go! She wrenched free, stumbled out of the car. They were at a red light, traffic all around. She ran, didn't know where, didn't care, just ran. Behind her, Darius shouted her name. She didn't stop. Her heels cracked on the pavement. Her dress tore. She didn't feel it. All she felt was rage. Pure, molten, all-consuming rage. Caleb had murdered her father, and she'd almost let him into her bed. Her life, her future. She'd been so stupid, so blind. She ran until her lungs gave out, collapsed against a building, slid down the wall. Darius found her 3 minutes later. He didn't say anything, just sat down next to her. They stayed like that for a long time. Finally, Celine spoke. I want him destroyed. I know. Not arrested, not sued. Destroyed. Okay. I want to take everything from him, the way he took everything from me. Darius looked at her. Then we'll need to be smart, calculated, patient. I don't want to be patient. I know, but revenge isn't about what you want. It's about what works. Celine closed her eyes. Her father's face floated behind her eyelids. Not the corpse. The man, the one who'd protected her, hidden her, kept her safe even when he knew he was dying. She owed him justice. Not the legal kind, the permanent kind. Tell me what to do, she said. Darius pulled her to her feet. First, we go back to the compound, secure this evidence, make copies, encrypt everything. And then? Then we build a case so airtight that Caleb has nowhere to run, no allies, no escape routes, nothing. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. I don't have months? Then we expedite. He looked at her. But you need to understand something. Once we start this, there's no stopping, no backing out. We go all the way, or we don't go at all. Celine met his eyes. I'm already all the way in. Are you sure? Because what we're about to do, it's not legal, it's not moral, it's justice. My father's justice. Darius studied her face, then nodded. Okay, then let's burn him down. They got back in the car, drove to the compound in silence. By the time they arrived, Celine had made her decision. She wasn't the woman who'd walked into that bridal suite 2 days ago. That woman was dead. In her place was something harder, colder, willing to do whatever it took. Darius led her back to the war room, spread out the evidence. We have the manifest, Caleb's signature, proof he was working for Hale when your father died. Is it enough to convict him? In court? Maybe. But courts take time. And Caleb has resources, lawyers. He could drag this out for years. Then we don't go to court. Darius looked up.
What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we use the same network he used to kill my father, turn it against him. That's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. He smiled. It was the first real smile she'd seen from him. You're learning. I had a good teacher. They worked through the night, built profiles, traced connections, identified weak points in Caleb's financial structure. By dawn, they had a plan. It was ruthless. It was illegal. It was perfect. Celine looked at the final blueprint spread across the table. When do we start? Today. But first you need to make a choice. What choice? Darius picked up a phone. We can do this quietly, subtly. Take him apart piece by piece until there's nothing left. Or we can do it publicly. Destroy him the way you destroyed your wedding. Make sure everyone knows what he did. Celine thought about Caleb's face in that chapel, the hatred in his eyes when she'd walked away, the calculation behind every smile he'd ever given her. I want everyone to know, she said. Then we need to move fast, before he realizes what we have. How fast? 48 hours. She looked at him. That's not enough time to eat. It is if we use the trust fund. Her stomach dropped. My father's money? Your money now. And it's the only leverage big enough to force Caleb into a corner. Darius pulled up a financial document. He owes me $8 million. But he owes other people too. Loan sharks, private investors. If we buy up his debt, all of it, we own him completely. How much would that cost? Approximately $12 million. I only have $15 million in the trust. I know, which means you'll be betting almost everything you have on this working. Celine looked at her father's photo on the wall. He'd built an empire to protect her, and she was about to spend most of it destroying the man who'd killed him. It felt right. Do it, she said. Darius made the calls. By noon, they owned $17 million in debt certificates, all of it tied to Caleb Vance. Celine held the documents in her hands. With these, she could force Caleb into bankruptcy, seize his assets, destroy him financially. But that wasn't enough. She wanted him to suffer the way her father had suffered. She wanted him to know betrayal, to feel it, to drown in it. There's one more thing we need, she said. What? A confession. Darius looked at her. He'll never confess. Not voluntarily. Then we make him think he's safe, that he won. How? Celine smiled. It felt like something breaking inside her. We give him exactly what he wanted. Me. Darius's expression shifted. You want to meet with him? Yes. Alone? Yes. That's suicide. No, it's bait. And he'll take it because he thinks I'm weak, emotional, stupid. Her voice went cold. Let him keep thinking that, right up until I destroy him. Darius studied her for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. I'll set it up. But you wear a wire, and I'm 1 block away the entire time. Fine. And if anything goes wrong, anything, you get out. Immediately. Agreed. He made the call. 20 minutes later, it was done. Caleb had agreed to meet her. Tonight. At a hotel bar downtown. Neutral territory. Public enough to feel safe. Private enough to talk. Celine looked at herself in the mirror. 48 hours ago, she'd been a bride. Now she was a weapon. And tonight, she was going to point herself at the man who'd murdered her father. One way or another, this ended. She just had to make sure she survived long enough to see him fall. Darius appeared behind her reflection. Last chance to back out. I'm not backing out. He's dangerous, Celine. If he suspects what you're doing, he won't. How can you be sure? She met his eyes in the mirror. Because I'm going to give him exactly what he expects. A broken woman begging for answers, someone he can manipulate. She turned around. And while he's busy feeling superior, I'm going to record every word he says. Darius handed her a small device. Looked like an expensive pen. Voice activated. Records for 6 hours. Keep it in your purse. She took it. What if he searches me? Then you abort. Walk away. And if I can't? His jaw tightened. Then I come in, and we deal with the consequences. Celine slipped the pen into her clutch. Looked at the clock. 6 hours until the meeting. 6 hours to prepare. To armor herself. To become exactly the kind of victim Caleb would never suspect was hunting him. I'm ready, she said. Darius looked at her, and for the first time since they'd met, she saw something like respect in his eyes. No, he said quietly. but you will be. They spent the next 6 hours planning every detail. What she'd say, how she'd react, where she'd sit, how to steer the conversation toward her father without seeming suspicious. By the time they finished, Celine felt like she'd rehearsed a play. Every line, every gesture, every breath, all of it calculated, all of it designed to make Caleb feel powerful, while she quietly built his cage. At 11:45, the car dropped her at the hotel. Darius stayed in the vehicle, 1 block away, listening. Celine walked into the bar alone. Caleb was already there, sitting in a corner booth. Expensive suit, confident smile. He stood when he saw her. "Celine, you look beautiful." She wanted to vomit. Instead, she smiled, sat down across from him, and began the performance of her life. "Thank you for meeting me," she said softly. "I know things ended badly." That's an understatement. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "You humiliated me in front of 300 people." "I know, I'm sorry." He blinked. "You're apologizing?" "I overreacted. I was emotional, scared." She looked down at her hands. "Marrying Darius was a mistake." Caleb leaned forward. "Is he mistreating you?" "No, but he's not you." She met his eyes, held his gaze. "I miss you, Caleb." Hook, line, sinker. His expression softened. "I miss you too. Do you think—" She hesitated. "Perfect. Do you think we could try again? Start over?" Caleb reached across the table, took her hand. "I'd like that." Celine smiled and activated the recording device in her purse. Now all she had to do was get him talking. About her father, about the shipping containers, about murder. She had 6 hours of recording time, and a lifetime of rage to fuel every word. "Tell me something," she said quietly. "Did you ever really love me? Or was it always about the money?" Caleb's smile widened. "Does it matter?" "It does to me." He squeezed her hand, and then he started talking, and Celine listened, recorded every word, every confession, every piece of evidence she needed to bury him. By the time he finished, she had everything, more than everything. She had him, completely. Caleb leaned back, satisfied. "So, what do you say? Give us another chance?" Celine looked at him, at the man who'd murdered her father, who'd tried to steal her future, who'd just confessed to all of it because he thought she was too weak to use it against him. "No," she said. His smile faltered. "What?" "I said no." She pulled her hand away. "I'm not giving you another chance. I'm destroying you." Understanding hit his face. "You recorded this. Every word." He lunged across the table, grabbed her wrist. "Give me that device." The bar erupted. Darius appeared out of nowhere, grabbed Caleb, slammed him against the wall. "Touch her again and I'll break every bone in your hand." Caleb struggled. "This is assault. This is justice." Darius released him, stepped back. Caleb straightened his jacket. His face was red, furious. "You have no idea what you just did." "I know exactly what I did." Celine stood. "I have your confession, your signature on the manifest, proof you killed my father. And by tomorrow morning, every law enforcement agency in the country will have copies. You can't prove anything. Yes, I can, because you're stupid and arrogant, and you just told me everything thinking I was too broken to fight back." Caleb's hands clenched. "I'll destroy you for this." "You already tried. It didn't work." She walked to the door. "Enjoy the next 48 hours, Caleb, because after that, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison, where you belong." She walked out. Darius followed. Behind them, Caleb screamed threats. Celine didn't look back. She made it to the car before her legs gave out. Darius caught her, helped her inside. "You did it," he said. "We did it." "No, this was all you." She looked at the recording device, at the evidence that would end Caleb's life, and started to cry. Not from sadness, from relief. It was over. Her father's killer would face justice, and she had survived becoming exactly what she needed to become to make that happen. Darius didn't say anything, just handed her a handkerchief and drove her back to the compound, where tomorrow they would begin dismantling everything Caleb had built, together, as partners, for real this time. But tonight, Celine let herself feel it, all the grief, all the rage, all the loss. Tomorrow she'd be strong again. Tonight, she was just a daughter who missed her father.
and who'd finally made sure his death wouldn't be in vain. The car pulled through the gates. Celine looked at the compound, this strange, cold place that had become something like home, or at least something like safety. Darius helped her inside. "Get some sleep," he said. "Tomorrow's going to be a long day." "What happens tomorrow?" "We take everything we have to the FBI. Let them handle the arrest. And after that?" He looked at her. "After that, we run an empire. Together. The way your father would have wanted." Celine nodded. Went upstairs. Collapsed onto the bed. And for the first time in 3 years, she slept without dreaming of her father's funeral. Instead, she dreamed of the future. One where she was no longer anyone's victim, where she controlled her own fate, where she had the power to protect herself, and anyone else who needed it. When she woke, dawn was breaking, and waiting on her nightstand was a message from Darius. "FBI arrives at 9 a.m. Caleb will be arrested by noon. It's over." Celine picked up her phone, read the message 3 times, then deleted it, because it wasn't over. Not yet. There was still one more thing she needed to do. One more person who needed to answer for what happened. Marcus Hale, the man who'd given Caleb the order, who'd profited from her father's death, who thought he was untouchable. She got dressed, walked downstairs, found Darius in the war room. "I need one more name," she said. He looked up. "Whose?" "Marcus Hale's partner, the one above him, the one actually running the operation." Darius's expression went carefully blank. "Why?" "Because Caleb was just the weapon. Hale was the trigger, but someone loaded the gun." "Celine, who is it?" He hesitated, and in that hesitation she saw the truth. "You know who it is." "Yes." "Tell me." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because—" He stopped, looked away. "Because you won't believe me." Her stomach dropped. "Darius, who killed my father?" He turned back to her, and in his eyes she saw something that made her blood run cold. "Your mother." The world stopped. "What?" "Your mother. She was the one who ordered it. She was Hale's partner. She's been running half the illegal operations through your father's network for years." Celine couldn't breathe. "That's not— She wouldn't— She would. And she did." Darius pulled out a file, slid it across the table. "I've known for 6 months. I just didn't know how to tell you." Celine opened the file. Financial records. Wire transfers. Photos of her mother meeting with Marcus Hale, with Daniel Hale, with other men Celine didn't recognize. Dates going back a decade. All of it pointing to one conclusion. Her mother had been using her father's empire to traffic drugs, and when he found out, when he threatened to expose her, she'd had him killed. Celine's hands shook. No, this isn't— It's real, all of it. She's my mother. I know. She wouldn't— She did." Celine looked at the photos. Her mother's face, smiling, casual, discussing business with the men who'd murdered her husband. Without guilt. Without hesitation. Like it was nothing. "I'm going to be sick." She ran to the bathroom, threw up everything in her stomach, collapsed on the floor. Darius appeared in the doorway. "I'm sorry." "Don't." Her voice was raw. "Don't apologize for telling me the truth." "What do you want to do?" Celine looked at him. At this man who'd become her partner, her co-conspirator, her only ally in a world that kept betraying her. "I want to finish this," she said. "All of it. Caleb, Hale, my mother, everyone who touched this. That's going to destroy your family." "I don't have a family anymore. I have enemies who happen to share my blood." Darius offered her his hand. She took it. He pulled her to her feet. "Then let's end this," he said. "Together. Together." They walked back to the war room and began planning the final strike, the one that would bring down everyone who'd destroyed her father, no matter who they were, no matter what it cost. Because Celine Hartwell was done being a victim, done being manipulated, done being anyone's pawn. From now on, she was the one making the moves, and anyone who stood in her way. They were about to learn exactly what happened when you underestimated the daughter of a murdered man. They were about to learn fear, and Celine was going to enjoy every second of teaching them. The FBI arrived at 9 a.m. exactly. 3 agents in dark suits,
badges, recording equipment. They set up in Darius's conference room like they were preparing for war. Special Agent Rhodes led the team. Mid-40s, gray at the temples, eyes that had seen too much and believed too little. "Walk me through it again," she said. Celine sat across from her, the recording device on the table between them. She'd already played Caleb's confession twice. Every word, every admission. "He killed my father 3 years ago, tampered with his brakes to make it look like an accident. He was working for Chen Shipping at the time. Marcus Hale paid him to do it." Rhodes made notes. "And you have physical evidence beyond the recording?" Darius slid a folder across the table. "Shipping manifests with Caleb's signature authorizing the cargo your father flagged. Financial records showing payments from Hale to Caleb. Emails discussing handling the problem." Rhodes flipped through the documents. Her expression didn't change. "This is good. Very good." She looked up. "But there's a problem." Celine's stomach tightened. "What problem?" "Your recording was obtained under false pretenses. Caleb thought he was having a private conversation with someone he trusted. Depending on how a judge interprets consent laws, this could be inadmissible." "He confessed to murder. I understand that. But we need to build a case that holds up in court, which means we need more than just the recording." Rhodes leaned forward. "We need witnesses, paper trails, physical evidence that directly ties Caleb to your father's death. We have the manifest, which prove Caleb worked for Chen Shipping. They don't prove he killed anyone." Rhodes softened slightly. "Look, I believe you. But belief isn't evidence. We need to connect every dot before we can move on this." Celine felt the room closing in. "How long will that take?" "Weeks? Maybe months." "I don't have months. Caleb knows I have the recording. He's going to run." "Then we put him under surveillance. Make sure he doesn't leave the country." "That's not good enough." Rhodes's expression hardened. "It's what we have. Unless you can give me something concrete, physical evidence, another witness, something that proves Caleb committed murder, my hands are tied." Celine looked at Darius. He was already thinking. She could see it in his eyes. "What if we could get you that evidence?" he asked. Rhodes raised an eyebrow. "What kind of evidence?" "The kind that Caleb would have kept. Insurance, in case Hale ever turned on him." "You think Caleb documented the murder?" "I think Caleb's a narcissist who believes he's smarter than everyone else. People like that keep trophies, proof of what they've done." "Where would he keep something like that?" Darius pulled out his phone, showed Rhodes a blueprint. "His apartment, specifically a safe in his home office." Rhodes studied the image. "How did you get this?" "I own the building. I had the architectural plans pulled this morning." "And you think he'd be stupid enough to keep evidence in his own apartment?" "I think he'd be arrogant enough." Darius looked at Celine. "We need to get inside that safe." Rhodes shook her head. "Absolutely not. That's breaking and entering. Anything you find would be inadmissible." "Not if you find it. I can't get a warrant without probable cause. And right now, all I have is a recording that might not hold up in court." Celine felt something shift in her chest, a decision forming. "What if Caleb invited me in?" she asked. Everyone turned to look at her. "Explain," Rhodes said. "Caleb thinks I still want him. He said as much last night before I played the recording. What if I convince him I made a mistake, that I want to reconcile?" "He'll never believe that, not after what you did. He'll believe it if I'm desperate enough. If I tell him Darius is threatening me, that I need protection." Darius's jaw tightened. "Absolutely not. It's the only way. It's suicide. If Caleb suspects for 1 second that you're working with the FBI, he won't. Because I'll give him exactly what he wants. Me, vulnerable, scared, begging." Rhodes leaned back. "This is a terrible idea. But it would work." "Maybe. If he doesn't kill you first." Celine met her eyes. "Then you'll have your murder, and you can arrest him for that one too." The room went silent. Rhodes looked at Darius. "You're actually considering this?" "No, I'm absolutely not considering this." "Yes, you are." Celine stood up. "Because it's the only play we have. Caleb has evidence somewhere. Evidence that could put him away forever. We need to find it. Not like this." "Then how? Wait months while he covers his tracks, while he runs? While my mother—" She stopped, forced herself to breathe. "While everyone who killed my father gets away with it?" Darius's expression was stone. "Your mother is a separate problem." "No, she's part of the same problem, and I'm not letting any of them walk away." Rhodes stood. "I need to make some calls. If, and this is a big if, we move forward with this, you'll be wired, monitored. The second things go wrong, we extract you. Fine. I mean it. The second you feel unsafe, you say the word and we're through the door. What's the word? Mayday. Simple, clear. Celine nodded. Rhodes gathered her files. I'll be back in 2 hours. Don't do anything stupid before then. She left. The moment the door closed, Darius grabbed Celine's arm. We need to talk. He pulled her into the war room, closed the door. This is insane, he said. I know. Caleb is dangerous. If he realizes what you're doing, I'll be careful. Careful isn't good enough. He's killed before. He'll kill again. Not if the FBI is listening. The FBI can't stop a bullet. Celine pulled her arm free. What else am I supposed to do? Wait? Hope? My father's been dead for 3 years. I'm not waiting anymore. Your father wouldn't want you risking your life for this. My father would want justice, and this is how we get it. Darius ran a hand through his hair. The first time she'd seen him look anything less than completely controlled. You don't have to do this alone. We can find another way. There is no other way. You heard Rhodes. Without physical evidence, this case falls apart. Then we find the evidence ourselves. Break into Caleb's apartment when he's not there. And if we get caught, everything we found gets thrown out. Caleb walks, my mother walks, everyone walks. Better than you dying. Why? The word came out sharp, angry. Why do you care if I die? Darius went very still. Because you're my partner. We're not partners. We're business associates trapped in a contract marriage. That's not true. Isn't it? You married me for leverage. I married you for survival. There's no partnership in that. There is now. Celine looked at him, really looked. His face was tight, controlled, but something in his eyes was different, raw. What are you saying? I'm saying... He stopped, started again. I'm saying I don't want you to die, and not just because it would complicate the business. Her breath caught. Darius, I know, this wasn't supposed to happen. We had rules, separate lives, clean divorce. He looked away. But somewhere between the chapel and tonight, things changed. Changed how? I don't know. I just know that the idea of you walking into Caleb's apartment alone makes me want to tear this building apart. Celine's chest felt tight. She'd spent the past 3 days seeing Darius as a tool, a means to an end, cold, calculating, useful but not human. But standing in front of her now was someone who looked terrified, for her. I have to do this, she said quietly. I know. And I need you to let me. His jaw clenched. I can't protect you if you're in there alone. I don't need you to protect me. I need you to trust me. I do trust you. That's the problem. She almost smiled. That doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. He looked at her. But we're doing it anyway. Yes. Then promise me something. What? Promise me you'll say the word. Mayday. The second you feel like things are going wrong. I promise. I mean it, Celine. The second... I promise. He studied her face, then nodded once. Okay. Then let's prep you. They spent the next 2 hours going over every detail. What she'd say to Caleb, how she'd position herself in his apartment, where the cameras would be, what signals to watch for. By the time Rhodes returned, Celine had the plan memorized. Rhodes brought tech equipment. A wire so small it looked like a piece of jewelry. Cameras disguised as buttons. A panic device embedded in a bracelet. Press this twice and we're through the door, Rhodes said, fastening the bracelet. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. You feel unsafe. You press it. Got it. I'm serious. Most people freeze. They think they can handle it. Then things escalate and it's too late. I won't freeze. Rhodes looked at her. You seem very calm for someone about to walk into a killer's apartment. I've had a lot of practice staying calm in bad situations. This is different. I know. Rhodes stepped back. You're wired. We'll have audio and limited video. There'll be a team stationed outside the building, 3 minutes from entry to extraction. 3 minutes is a long time. It's the best we can do without tipping him off. Rhodes pulled out her phone. Ready to make the call? Celine's hands were steady as she took her own phone, dialed Caleb's number. He answered on the second ring. Celine. His voice was cold. I thought I made myself clear last night.
I know, I'm sorry, I need to talk to you. We're done talking. Please, Darius, he's threatening me. I made a mistake and now he won't let me leave. Silence. Then, what kind of threats? He says if I don't cooperate with his business plans, he'll freeze my access to the trust fund. Take everything. She let her voice crack slightly. I'm scared, Caleb. I don't know what to do. More silence. She could almost hear him thinking, calculating. Where are you now? In a hotel. I snuck out while he was in a meeting. Which hotel? The Meridian, downtown. Room number? Celine's pulse quickened. Why? Because I want to make sure you're safe. Trap. He was testing her. I'd rather meet you somewhere else. Somewhere he can't find me. A pause. My apartment. 1 hour. Come alone. Okay. And Celine, if you're lying to me again, if this is another setup, it's not. I swear. Then I'll see you in an hour. He hung up. Celine set down the phone. Her hands were shaking now. Rhodes looked at her. You can still back out. No, I can't. Yes, you can. We find another way. There is no other way. We established that. Darius hadn't said anything. He stood by the window, staring out at the city. Celine walked over to him. I'll be fine, she said. He didn't turn around. You don't know that. I know I have to try. Why? Why does it have to be you? Because my father deserves justice, and I'm the only one who can get it for him. Darius finally looked at her. Be careful. I will. I mean it. If anything feels wrong, I'll press the bracelet, I promise. He reached out, touched her face, just for a second, then dropped his hand and walked out. Rhodes cleared her throat. We leave in 30 minutes. Use the time to center yourself. Celine nodded. 30 minutes later, she was in an unmarked FBI van heading downtown. Rhodes sat next to her, checking equipment, testing signals. Audio's clear, video's functional. Backup team is in position. She looked at Celine. Last chance. I'm going in. The van stopped 2 blocks from Caleb's building. We'll be listening the entire time, Rhodes said. Remember, you're there to get him talking, get access to that safe, find evidence, then get out. I remember. And if he tries anything, I press the bracelet. Rhodes handed her an earpiece, smaller than the one she'd used at the wedding. We can communicate through this if needed, but only in emergencies. If Caleb sees you listening to voices, it's over. Celine fitted it into her ear, barely visible. Good luck, Rhodes said. Celine got out of the van, walked the 2 blocks to Caleb's building. Her heart was pounding, sweat forming on her palms. She forced herself to breathe, in through the nose, out through the mouth. The doorman recognized her, smiled. Miss Hartwell, good to see you again. She smiled back. Hi, David. He buzzed her through. She took the elevator to the 15th floor, walked down the hallway to Caleb's apartment, knocked. He opened the door immediately. You came, he said. I said I would. He stepped aside, let her in. The apartment looked the same. Expensive furniture, modern art, everything designed to impress. Caleb closed the door behind her, locked it. Celine's pulse spiked. Drink? He asked. Water's fine. He poured 2 glasses, handed her one. She didn't drink it. So, Caleb said, sitting on the couch, tell me about Darius's threats. Celine sat across from him. Not too close, not too far. He says I signed away control of my father's assets when we got married, that he can freeze my access to everything unless I cooperate. Cooperate how? He wants me to help him expand the shipping network, use my father's contacts, my name. Caleb's expression didn't change. And you don't want to do that. I don't want to be controlled by him or anyone else. Interesting, because 48 hours ago, you seemed pretty determined to destroy me. I was angry, hurt. I overreacted. You recorded our conversation and threatened to give it to the FBI. I know, and I'm sorry. Are you? He leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, this feels like another manipulation. Celine met his eyes. I'm not manipulating you. I'm asking for help. Why would I help you after what you did? Because you loved me once, or at least you said you did. I said a lot of things. Were any of them true? Caleb studied her. Some of them. Which ones? He set down his glass. Does it matter? It matters to me. He stood, walked to the window,
Celine's hand moved to the bracelet. Ready. You want the truth? Caleb asked. Fine, I'll give you the truth. Her heart hammered. I never loved you, not the way you wanted, but I didn't hate you either. He turned around. You were a means to an end. A very pleasant means, but still just a vehicle to get what I needed. The trust fund. Yes. And my father? His expression went cold. What about him? Did you kill him? Silence. Then Caleb smiled. You're wearing a wire. Celine's blood turned to ice. What? Don't play dumb, it doesn't suit you. He walked toward her, slowly. The FBI contacted me this morning, told me you might try something like this, asked if I'd cooperate with a sting operation. The room spun. You're working with them? I'm working with whoever keeps me out of prison. He stopped in front of her. See, here's the thing about that recording you made. It's inadmissible. My lawyers already confirmed it, which means you have nothing. I have the manifests, the financial records, circumstantial, all of it. I worked for Chen Shipping, so what? That doesn't prove I killed anyone. Celine stood. You confessed. In a conversation I believed was private, coerced confession. Won't hold up. The FBI needs physical evidence, which they don't have, which is why they sent you here. He grabbed her wrist, to trick me into giving them something they can actually use. She yanked free. Don't touch me. Or what? You'll scream? Call for help? Your FBI friends are listening. Let them come. I haven't done anything illegal. Rhodes's voice crackled in her ear. Celine, get out. Now. But Celine didn't move. Because she saw it. On Caleb's desk. Behind him. A photograph. Her father. Younger. Smiling. Standing next to Caleb. The photo was dated 5 years ago. 2 years before Caleb claimed to have met Celine. You knew him, she whispered. You knew my father before you met me. Caleb's smile widened. Took you long enough to figure that out. This was planned, all of it, from the beginning. Not all of it. I didn't plan on you being so pretty, or so easy to manipulate. He picked up the photograph. Your father and I worked together for 6 months. He was teaching me the shipping business, mentoring me. Celine felt sick. Then why? Because he found out what I was doing, what Hale was doing, and he threatened to expose all of it. Caleb set the photo down. So I made a choice. Him or me. You killed your mentor. I eliminated a threat. There's a difference. And then you came after me. I came after what he left behind. You were just the key to unlock it. Celine's vision blurred. Everything. Every moment. Every word. It had all been a lie. Caleb had murdered her father, then spent a year seducing his daughter, planning to rob her. All of it calculated, all of it cold. You're a monster, she whispered. I'm a survivor. Just like you. He stepped closer. The difference is, I'm better at it. Celine's hand went to the bracelet, pressed twice. Took you long enough, Caleb said. The door exploded open. FBI agents poured in, guns drawn, shouting. Caleb raised his hands, smiling. Gentlemen, ladies, come in. Make yourselves at home. Rhodes grabbed Celine, pulled her back. You okay? Celine couldn't speak. Rhodes turned to Caleb. Caleb Vance, you're under arrest for what? He laughed. I haven't committed a crime. Check the warrant. You have nothing. Rhodes's face went tight. She was right. They had nothing. The confession was inadmissible. The manifests were circumstantial. The photograph proved nothing except that Caleb knew her father. They couldn't arrest him. Not without evidence. Caleb's lawyer appeared in the doorway. Expensive suit. Cold eyes. My client will be happy to cooperate with any official investigation, but right now you're trespassing. I suggest you leave before I file harassment charges. Rhodes looked at Celine, then at Caleb. This isn't over. Yes, Caleb said. It is. The agents lowered their weapons, started to leave. Celine felt reality collapsing. They were letting him go. After everything, the recording, the evidence, the confession, they were letting him walk away. No, she said. Rhodes turned. Celine, no, he killed my father. He admitted it. In a conversation we can't use, then find something you can use. We tried. There's nothing here. Then look harder. Caleb's lawyer stepped forward. I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Now. Rhodes grabbed Celine's arm. Let's go. No, we don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Celine pulled free, walked straight to Caleb.
This isn't finished, she said quietly. I will destroy you, one way or another. He leaned close, whispered so only she could hear. Your father said the same thing right before I cut his brake lines. Something inside her snapped. She hit him. Not a slap, a punch. Full force. Her fist connected with his jaw. He stumbled back, blood on his lip. Agents grabbed her, pulled her away.
Assault! Caleb's lawyer shouted. I want her arrested for assault.
Rhodes dragged Celine toward the door. You need to leave, now.
Celine's hands were shaking, her knuckles split, bleeding, but she felt nothing, just rage, pure, absolute, consuming. They pulled her into the hallway, the elevator, out of the building, back to the van. Rhodes slammed the door.
What the hell were you thinking? He killed my father. I know. And you're letting him go.
Because we don't have evidence. Rhodes's voice cracked. Do you think I want to let him walk? I don't. But without proof, my hands are tied. Celine slumped against the seat. Her father's killer was free. Still breathing, still smiling, still winning. There has to be something, she said. Some way to... Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. A photo loaded. Her mother, sitting in a restaurant across from Marcus Hale. The timestamp was from this morning. Below the photo, a message. Want to know what they're discussing? Meet me alone. Pier 22, midnight.
D.D. Daniel Hale, Marcus's son.
Celine stared at the message. Rhodes leaned over. What is that? Celine showed her. It's a trap, Rhodes said immediately. Maybe. No, maybe about it. Daniel Hale is trying to lure you somewhere isolated. Or he's trying to help. Why would he help you? I don't know, but if there's even a chance he has information about my mother, absolutely not. You are not meeting him. You can't stop me. Yes, I can. You're a civilian. I can detain you for your own protection. Celine looked at her. Then you'll have to. Because I'm going. Rhodes's jaw tightened. Then she pulled out her phone, made a call. I need a full surveillance team at Pier 22. Tonight, midnight. She paused. Yes, I know it's short notice. Do it anyway. She hung up, looked at Celine. If you're doing this, you're doing it wired, monitored, with backup 30 seconds away. Fine. And if Daniel tries anything, I'll press the bracelet. I mean it, Celine. These people are dangerous. They've killed before. I know. My father was one of their victims. Rhodes sighed. You're not going to stop until they're all in prison, are you? No, I'm not. Then let's make sure you survive long enough to see it happen. The van drove back to the compound. Darius was waiting. He took one look at Celine's face and knew. It didn't work. No. What happened? Caleb was working with the FBI. They warned him. He knew I was wired. Darius's expression went dark. Someone tipped him off. Obviously. Who? I don't know, but we're going to find out. She showed him the text from Daniel. Tonight, Pier 22. He says he has information about my mother. It's a trap. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true. Maybe. But it's also the only lead we have. Darius looked at her bleeding knuckles. What happened to your hand? I hit Caleb. Good. She almost smiled. Rhodes didn't think so. Rhodes isn't the one who had to watch that bastard walk away. Darius pulled out a first aid kit. Started cleaning her hand. Did he say anything before the agents showed up? He admitted everything, said my father mentored him, then threatened to expose Hale's operation, so Caleb killed him. Darius's hand stilled. He told you that? Yes. Why? Because he knew the FBI couldn't use it. He wanted me to know. Wanted me to suffer. He's going to regret that. Not if he gets away with it. Darius finished wrapping her hand. He's not getting away with anything. How can you be sure? Because we're not done yet. He pulled out his phone. Made a call. Marcus, it's Darius. We need to talk tonight. Yes, I know it's late. This can't wait. A pause. Your office. 1 hour. Come alone. He hung up. Celine stared at him. What are you doing? Applying pressure. If Caleb won't break, maybe Hale will. Hale ordered my father's death. Why would he confess? He won't. But he'll make a mistake, and when he does, we'll be there to catch it. That's a gamble. Everything about this is a gamble. Darius looked at her. But we're out of safe options, so we go all in. Celine nodded. What about Daniel, the meeting at midnight? We handle that after Hale, one crisis at a time. Rhodes is setting up surveillance. Good, let her, but you're not going alone. She wants me wired. I don't care what she wants. You walk into that meeting, I'm there, watching. She won't allow it. She doesn't have a choice. Darius's voice was steel. You're my wife, legally. That gives me rights, and I'm exercising them. Celine looked at him. This man who'd been a stranger 4 days ago, who'd manipulated her into marriage, who'd lied by omission about her father's empire, who was now standing in front of her looking like he'd burn the world down before he let her face this alone. Okay, she said. Okay. You can come, but you stay out of sight. If Daniel sees you, he won't. Promise me. I promise. 50 minutes later, they were in Darius's car heading to Marcus Hale's office. Downtown. High-rise. 14th floor. The building was mostly empty, just security and a few late-night workers. They took the elevator up. Hale was waiting in his office. He looked older than his photo. Tired, like the weight of his crimes was finally catching up. Darius, he said, I wasn't expecting company. This is my wife, Celine. Hale's eyes widened slightly. Robert's daughter. Yes. I'm sorry for your loss. Your father was a good man. Don't, Celine said. Her voice was ice. Don't pretend you cared about him. Hale's expression shifted. I did care. That's why I tried to stop what happened. But you didn't stop it. No, I didn't. He sat down heavily. And I've regretted it every day since. Darius stepped forward. If you regretted it, you would have come forward. And said what? That I ordered a hit on my business partner? I'd be in prison. You deserve to be in prison. Maybe. But prison doesn't bring Robert back. It doesn't fix anything. Celine felt her control slipping. It would give him justice. Would it, or would it just make you feel better? What's the difference? Hale looked at her. Really looked. Your father came to me 3 days before he died. Told me he'd found evidence of illegal shipments. Asked me to help him expose it. And you refused. I told him to wait. To let me handle it quietly. I thought I could shut it down without anyone getting hurt. But you couldn't. No. Because the people running those shipments, they're not like us. They don't negotiate. They eliminate threats. So you let them eliminate my father. I didn't let them. I tried to protect him. I called him the night before he died, told him to leave town, to disappear until I could clean this up. But he didn't leave. No, he said he wasn't running, that he'd spent his whole life building something worth protecting, and he wasn't going to let criminals destroy it. Celine's throat tightened. That sounded like her father. Stubborn, principled, stupid. If you knew he was in danger, why didn't you warn him about Caleb? I didn't know Caleb was involved. Not until after. Hale's voice cracked. By then it was too late. And you've spent 3 years covering it up. I've spent 3 years trying to survive. The people who ordered your father's death, they're still out there, still operating. If I'd come forward, they would have killed me too. You're a coward. Yes, I am. The admission hung in the air. Darius pulled out his phone. We have evidence linking Caleb to my father's murder. Manifests, financial records, but the FBI says it's not enough. It's not. Why? Because Caleb covered his tracks. He always does. He's smart, methodical. He knows how to make things disappear. Then help us prove it. Hale looked up. How? Testify. Tell the FBI what you just told us. That would be suicide. Or it would be redemption. I don't believe in redemption. Then do it for survival, because right now you're caught between us and the people who ordered the hit. Eventually, one side is going to crush you. Hale was quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you want from me? Everything. Names, locations, how the operation works, who's running it. And in exchange, we keep you alive, and we make sure when this goes public, you're a witness, not a defendant. You can't promise that. No, but it's better odds than you have now. Hale stood, walked to his safe, opened it, pulled out a thick folder, handed it to Darius. This is everything. Shipping routes, financial records, communications with the people running the operation.
Celine's heart raced. Why are you giving us this? Because I'm tired, and because your father deserved better. Hale looked at her. He was trying to do the right thing, and it got him killed. The least I can do is make sure it wasn't for nothing. Darius flipped through the folder. His expression changed. This is everything we need. I know. Why now? Why not 3 years ago? Because 3 years ago I was scared. Now I'm just exhausted. Hale sat back down. Do what you need to do. I'll cooperate. Celine felt something shift. They had him. They actually had him. Who ordered the hit? She asked. Who gave Caleb the final authorization? Hale looked at her, and in his eyes she saw the answer before he said it. Your mother. The room tilted. What? Eleanor Hartwell. She was running the illegal side of the operation. Had been for years. When your father threatened to expose it, she made the call. Celine couldn't breathe. You're lying. I wish I was. My mother wouldn't. Your mother is a lot of things, but sentimental isn't one of them. Hale pulled out another document. This is the wire transfer authorizing payment to Caleb, her signature, her account. Celine looked at the paper. Her mother's name, clear as day. The woman who'd raised her, who'd cried at her father's funeral, who'd hugged her and told her everything would be okay, had paid someone to murder her husband. I'm gonna be sick. Darius caught her, held her up. We need to go, he said. Hale nodded. FBI will want to talk to me. Tell them I'm ready. They left, got back in the car. Celine couldn't stop shaking. She killed him. My own mother killed him. I know. How could she? Money, power, fear. Take your pick. I don't understand. They were married for 30 years. Sometimes that's not enough. Celine closed her eyes, saw her mother's face, smiling, lying, killing. What do we do now? Darius looked at the clock. 11:30. Now we meet Daniel. See what he knows. Then we take everything we have to the FBI and end this. And my mother? Goes to prison, where she belongs. Celine nodded. Felt something inside her harden, turn cold, turn final. Her mother had destroyed everything. Her father, her family, her ability to trust anyone. And for what? Money she already had, power she already wielded. It made no sense unless... What if there's more? Celine asked. More what? More to this. More than just money. What if my mother's hiding something bigger? Darius looked at her. Like what? I don't know, but Daniel texted me for a reason. He knows something. Something important enough to risk meeting me. Or he's setting you up. Maybe, but we won't know until we go. The car pulled up to Pier 22. Empty. Dark. Just the sound of water lapping against concrete. Rhodes was already there, hidden in a surveillance van. She came out when she saw them. You're early. We brought something, Darius said, handed her Hale's folder. Rhodes flipped through it. Her eyes went wide. Holy shit. Marcus Hale is ready to testify. Everything's in there. This changes everything. Rhodes looked at Celine like, with this we can arrest Caleb, your mother, everyone involved. Good. But we still need to be careful with Daniel. He could be working with them. I know. Rhodes checked her watch. 5 minutes. You ready? Celine looked at the pier, at the darkness waiting at the end. Yes. They moved into position. Rhodes back in the van, Darius hidden behind a shipping container. Celine alone on the pier, waiting. At midnight exactly, a car pulled up. Daniel Hale got out. He looked nervous, young, nothing like his father. He walked toward her slowly, stopped 10 feet away. You came, he said. You said you had information. I do. But first I need to know, are you recording this? No. Liar. He pulled out a device, scanned her. It beeped. Wire, camera, panic button. He looked at her. I said come alone. I came prepared. There's a difference. If the FBI is listening, they are. But they can't stop me from hearing what you have to say. Daniel hesitated, then, my father didn't kill yours. Celine's heart stopped. What? He gave the order, but he didn't know Caleb would actually go through with it. Caleb was supposed to scare your father, make him back off, not kill him. I don't believe you. I don't care if you believe me. I'm telling you the truth. Daniel stepped closer. Caleb went rogue, killed your father without authorization, then told my father it was done. By then, it was too late to take it back. Why are you telling me this? Because your mother knows what Caleb did, and she's planning to kill him before he can testify. The world stopped. What? Tonight, she has people in place. The moment Caleb leaves his apartment, they're going to make it look like an accident. Celine's mind raced. Why would she do that? Because Caleb knows too much. About her, about the operation. If he talks, she goes to prison. Daniel pulled out his phone, showed her a text. This is from one of her guys confirming the hit. It happens in 2 hours. Celine looked at the message. Her mother's name, right there, ordering another murder. We have to warn him, she said. Warn who? Caleb? The man who killed your father? If he dies, we lose our only witness. You have my father. He'll testify. Your father's testimony won't be enough. We need Caleb alive. Daniel shook his head. You save him, and he walks. He'll make a deal. Turn witness. Get immunity. I don't care. I need him to face trial, to answer for what he did. He won't. The system doesn't work like that. Celine pulled out her phone, called Rhodes. We have a problem. Eleanor Hartwell is planning to kill Caleb. Tonight. We need to get him into protective custody. Now. Rhodes's voice was sharp. How do you know this? Daniel just told me. He has proof. A pause. We're on it. Stay where you are. She hung up. Celine looked at Daniel. Why help me? Because my father's dying. Cancer, stage 4. He has maybe 6 months. Daniel's voice cracked. He wants to make things right before he goes. This is how he does it. By betraying my mother? By stopping her. She's a monster. She's been using our family's company to move drugs, weapons. Worse, she's destroyed lives, ruined families. He looked at her. Your father was trying to stop her. That's why she killed him. Celine felt the pieces clicking into place. Her mother hadn't just ordered her father's death for money. She'd done it to protect her empire, an empire built on suffering. What happens now? Celine asked. Now you take what I gave you, what my father gave you, and you burn her empire to the ground. And you? I disappear. Witness protection. New name, new life. That's not justice. No, but it's survival. And right now, that's all I've got. He turned to leave. Daniel. He stopped. Thank you. He nodded once, then got in his car and drove away. Celine stood alone on the pier, processing. Her mother was a murderer, a drug trafficker, a monster. And tonight, Celine was going to take her down. Rhodes appeared out of the darkness. Teams en route to Caleb's apartment. We'll have him in custody within the hour. And my mother? Once we have Caleb's testimony, we'll move on her too. I want to be there. Absolutely not. She's my mother. Which is exactly why you can't be there. This is FBI business now. You've done your part. Celine looked at her. My part isn't done until she's in handcuffs. Celine, I need to see it. I need to see her face when she realizes she lost. Rhodes sighed. Fine, but you stay in the van. You don't approach. You don't interfere. Agreed. They drove to Caleb's building. FBI agents were already swarming. Celine watched from the van as they brought him out. He looked scared. Good. He should be scared. Rhodes got confirmation. Subject in custody. Moving to safe house. 1 down. Celine's phone buzzed. A text from Darius. They're moving on your mother now. Warehouse district. I'm heading there. She showed Rhodes. That's not the plan, Rhodes said. I don't care. Celine, drive, now, or I'll walk. Rhodes cursed, but she drove. They reached the warehouse 15 minutes later. FBI tactical team was already in position. Celine's mother was inside. Meeting with 3 men Celine didn't recognize, discussing shipments, payment, murder, all of it recorded, all of it evidence. Rhodes gave the signal, agents moved in. FBI, hands up! Chaos. Gunfire. Celine's mother ran. Agents chased, tackled her to the ground. Handcuffs. Done. Celine got out of the van, walked toward the scene. Her mother saw her. Their eyes met. You did this, her mother said. Her voice was venom. You destroyed everything. No, Celine said quietly. You did. When you killed Dad. Your father was weak, sentimental. He would have ruined everything we built. He built it. You corrupted it. I protected it. You murdered him. Her mother's face twisted. He gave me no choice. There's always a choice. You chose wrong. Agents pulled her mother away. She was still screaming. Threats, curses, blame. Celine watched until she disappeared into an FBI vehicle. Then she collapsed. Darius caught her. It's over, he said. Is it? Yes. Caleb's in custody. Your mother's in custody. Hale's testifying. It's done. Celine looked at him. This man who'd been a stranger, who'd become a partner, who'd stood beside her through all of it. What happens now? She asked. Now we go home. Sleep. And tomorrow we start figuring out what comes next. And us? He looked at her. What about us? We had a deal, 1 year, then divorce. We did. Do you still want that? Darius was quiet for a long moment, then, I don't know. Do you? Celine looked at the warehouse, at the FBI vehicles, at the empire her father had built that was now half hers, at the man standing beside her who'd helped her destroy the people who'd destroyed her family. I don't know either, she said. Then we figure it out. Together. Together. They got in the car, drove back to the compound, and for the first time in 4 days, Celine felt something other than rage. She felt exhausted, but also hopeful. Maybe. The car pulled through the gates. Home. Or something like it. Celine looked at Darius. Thank you. For what? For not letting me do this alone. He almost smiled. You're welcome. They got out. Walked inside. And somewhere in the darkness, Celine's phone buzzed. One last message. From an unknown number. You think it's over. It's not. Your mother was just one piece. The real power is still out there. And now they know who you are. Sleep well, Celine. You're going to need it. She stared at the message, showed Darius. His expression went dark. We need to call Rhodes. Now. But before Celine could dial, the compound's alarms started screaming. Security breach. Someone was inside. Darius grabbed her hand. Run! They ran. Celine stood in the war room, staring at the photograph of her mother shaking hands with Marcus Hale. The image was time-stamped 3 weeks before her father's death. Her mother wore a cream blazer and that smile she reserved for charity events. Polished, untouchable, fake. I need to see her, Celine said. Darius looked up from the files spread across the table. That's a bad idea. I don't care. She's dangerous, Celine, more dangerous than Caleb, more dangerous than Hale. She's had decades to perfect this. She's also my mother, and I need to hear her say it. Celine's voice was steady, but her hands were clenched so tight her nails cut into her palms. I need to look her in the eye and hear her admit she killed him. And then what? Then I decide whether to turn her in or bury her myself. Darius stood, walked around the table until he was directly in front of her. You're not a killer. How do you know? Because if you were, Caleb would already be dead. She met his eyes. Maybe I'm just patient. He studied her face for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. I'll arrange the meeting, but I'm coming with you. No, this is between her and me. She'll have security, lawyers, an exit strategy for every scenario. Then I'll be smarter. Celine, this isn't negotiable. Her voice went cold. You've had 3 years to hunt her down. You didn't. Because deep down, you knew what telling me would do, what it would turn me into. She stepped closer. Well, congratulations. You created exactly what you needed. Someone ruthless enough to finish this. So, let me finish it. Darius's jaw tightened. But he didn't argue. He made the call. 20 minutes later, it was arranged. Her mother would meet her tomorrow. Noon, at the family estate, the house where Celine had grown up, where her father had lived, where her mother had planned his murder. Celine barely slept that night. She lay in the guest room watching the ceiling, her mind replaying every moment from her childhood. Her mother reading to her before bed, teaching her to ride a bike, crying at her high school graduation. All of it real. All of it lies. Both things could be true. That was the part that made her sick. Her mother had loved her, and her mother had killed her father. Not for survival, not for protection, for profit. At dawn, Celine got up, showered, dressed in black, no jewelry, no makeup beyond what was necessary to look composed. She looked like she was going to a funeral. In a way, she was.
Darius was waiting downstairs with coffee and a handgun. Take it, he said. She looked at the weapon, small, compact, deadly. I'm not shooting my mother. Then don't. But if Hale shows up, or if this goes sideways, I want you armed. Celine took the gun, slipped it into her purse. It felt heavier than it should. The FBI is ready to move on Caleb this afternoon, Darius said. By tonight, he'll be in custody. Hale will follow within 48 hours. And my mother? That depends on what happens today. Celine nodded. They drove to the estate in silence. The gates opened automatically. Celine's mother had kept her security clearance active. Even now, even after everything, the house looked exactly the same. Cream stone facade, manicured gardens, fountain in the circular driveway. Picture perfect. Hollow. Celine got out of the car alone. Darius stayed behind, 1 block away, listening through the wire she wore under her blouse. She walked to the front door. It opened before she could knock. Her mother stood in the doorway. Silk blouse, tailored pants, hair perfectly styled. She looked like she'd just stepped out of a magazine shoot. Celine! What a surprise! Her mother's smile was warm, practiced. I heard about your wedding. Quite the spectacle. Can I come in? Of course, darling. She stepped aside. I was just having tea. Join me. Celine walked into the house where she'd spent 18 years of her life. Everything was the same. The furniture, the art, even the smell, lilac and lemon polish. Her mother led her to the sunroom. Tea was already set, 2 cups. She'd been expecting this visit. Sit, her mother said. You look exhausted. Marriage to Darius Kwan must be quite taxing. Celine sat. You know who he is? Of course I do. Your father's old partner. Her mother poured tea with steady hands. I was wondering when he'd make his move. I'm surprised it took him this long. He's been investigating you. I know. Her mother added sugar to her cup, stirred. He's been very thorough, almost admirable. He has evidence, financial records, photos, testimony. Does he? Her mother took a sip. How fascinating. Celine's hands clenched under the table. You're not even going to deny it. Deny what, darling? That you killed Dad. Her mother set down her teacup, dabbed her lips with a napkin. When she looked up, her expression hadn't changed. Your father was a good man, but he was also naive. He thought he could build an empire and keep his hands clean. That's not how the world works. Celine's chest tightened. So you admit it? I'm not admitting anything that could be used against me in court. I'm simply having a conversation with my daughter. Her mother leaned back. You want to know what happened? Fine, I'll tell you. But you need to understand the context. There's no context that justifies murder. No? Let me paint you a picture. Her mother's voice was calm, almost gentle. Your father built a shipping empire, legitimate routes, legal cargo. But running a clean operation in a dirty industry? That's expensive. Competitors undercut us. Regulators bled us dry. We were losing money, millions, every quarter. So you started trafficking. I started being practical. There were people willing to pay premium rates for discreet shipping. I provided that service. Your father never knew. For years, it worked perfectly. Until he found out. Until he started asking questions he should have left alone. Her mother's expression hardened. He found a discrepancy in one of the manifests, started digging, threatened to go to the authorities. Do you understand what that would have done to the business, to our family, to you? Don't you dare make this about protecting me. But it was, partly. Her mother reached across the table, touched Celine's hand. If your father had exposed the operation, we would have lost everything. The house, the money, your trust fund, your future. I couldn't let that happen. Celine yanked her hand away. So you had him killed. I made a decision. A hard one, but necessary. You had your husband murdered. I had a liability removed. Her mother's voice didn't rise, didn't waver. And I made sure it looked like an accident, clean, no investigation, no scandal. You were protected, the business survived, everyone moved on. Except Dad. He's dead. Yes, and that's unfortunate, but he made his choice. I made mine. Celine stood. Her legs shook, but she forced herself to stay upright. You're a monster. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. Her mother stood as well. You think you're different? You married a stranger to access your trust fund. You destroyed Caleb publicly.
You've been working with Darius to dismantle my operation. You're not innocent, Celine. You're just newer at this. I'm nothing like you. You're exactly like me. You just haven't accepted it yet.
Celine's hand moved to her purse, to the gun. Her mother noticed. Are you going to shoot me? I'm thinking about it. Go ahead. But know this. If I die, everything I've built activates a dead man's switch. Every illegal shipment, every bribe, every dirty secret, it all gets released, including the parts that implicate your father. Celine froze. What? Did you think he was completely clean? He knew about some of it, turned a blind eye to certain routes, took payments he shouldn't have. Not enough to be criminal, but enough to destroy his reputation. You're lying. Am I? Ask Darius. He found the same records I did. Your father wasn't a saint, darling. He was a businessman who made compromises just like everyone else. Celine felt the world tilt. Her mother smiled. So if you expose me, you expose him. His legacy becomes mine. Is that really what you want? You planned this. All of it. I planned for everything. It's why I'm still standing. Her mother sat back down, picked up her tea. Now, you have a choice. Walk away. Let this go. Keep your father's reputation intact, or destroy both of us and gain nothing. Celine's hand stayed on the gun. Her mother watched her with calm, measuring eyes. What's it going to be? Celine pulled out her phone, hands shaking, opened the recording app. Every word her mother had said was saved, time-stamped, encrypted, uploaded to a cloud server Darius controlled. Her mother's expression finally cracked. You recorded this. Every word. That's illegal, inadmissible in court. I don't care about court. I care about the truth. Celine's voice was steady now. And now everyone will know what you are. Her mother stood. If you release that, your dead man's switch activates. Fine. Let it. I'd rather the world know my father made mistakes than let you keep pretending you're untouchable. You'll destroy his memory. You already did that when you killed him. Her mother's face went cold. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was thinking you were capable of loving anyone more than yourself. Celine turned and walked toward the door. Her mother's voice followed her. You'll regret this. Probably, but I'll regret it free. She walked out of the house, got in the car. Darius was waiting. I heard everything, he said. Good. Then you know what to do. Are you sure? Once we release this, I'm sure. Send it to the FBI, the media, anyone who'll listen. Darius pulled out his phone, made the call. Celine watched the house recede in the rearview mirror. Somewhere inside, her mother was making calls, activating contingencies, trying to contain the damage. But it was too late. The recording was already spreading. By that evening, every major news outlet had the story. By midnight, her mother was in federal custody. Caleb was arrested at his apartment. No fight, no dramatic escape, just handcuffs and a perp walk captured by a dozen cameras. Marcus Hale tried to run, made it as far as his private jet before FBI agents stopped him on the tarmac. Daniel Hale was arrested at his office. He confessed within an hour, gave up names, locations, everything. The entire network collapsed in 72 hours. And Celine watched it all happen from the compound. Darius kept her updated, showed her the arrest warrants, the news coverage, the federal indictments. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like standing in the ruins of everything she'd ever known. 3 days after her mother's arrest, Ivy showed up at the compound. Security tried to stop her. She pushed past them and found Celine in the war room. You look like hell, Ivy said. I feel like it. Ivy sat down. I saw the news. Your mother, Caleb, all of it. Yeah. Are you okay? Celine laughed. It sounded broken. My mother killed my father. My ex-fiancé helped, and I just spent the last week becoming someone I don't recognize to take them down. So no, I'm not okay. Ivy reached across the table, took her hand. But you survived. Did I? Because I'm not sure what's left. You're left, the real you, under all the armor. Celine looked at their joined hands. I don't know who that is anymore. Then figure it out. You have time now. Do I? Celine gestured to the files. The maps. The empire her father had built and her mother had corrupted. I own half of this. Darius owns the other half. We're legally bound for a year, and after that, you decide what comes next. Celine pulled her hand away. I can't run this. I don't know how. So learn, or sell it, or burn it down and start over. Ivy's voice was firm. But don't let what they did define what you become. It already has. No. It showed you what you're capable of. That's different. Celine looked at her friend. You still see me, after everything. I see you more clearly than ever. Ivy stood. And whenever you're ready to come back to the real world, I'll be there. She left. Celine sat alone in the war room. The walls were covered in evidence that no longer mattered. The investigation was over. The arrests were made. Justice, such as it was, had been served, and she was left with nothing but choices. Darius found her there an hour later. The FBI wants a statement, he said, about your mother, about the network. Tell them I'll cooperate, fully. They're also asking about us, the marriage, whether it was legitimate. Celine looked up. What did you tell them? That it's complicated. Is it? He sat down across from her. I married you to collect a debt and gain control of your father's assets. You married me to access your trust and escape Caleb. Neither of us did it for love. No. But somewhere in the last week that changed. Celine's breath caught. Did it? You tell me. Darius's voice was quiet. Because I've spent 3 years hunting the people who killed my best friend. And in 1 week you accomplished what I couldn't. Not because you're smarter, not because you're more ruthless, but because you cared enough to risk everything. I wanted revenge. So did I. But revenge isn't the same as justice. You understood that. I didn't. Celine studied his face. For the first time since they'd met, he looked tired, human. What are you saying? I'm saying this marriage was supposed to be temporary, transactional, but I don't want it to be anymore. Her heart stuttered. Darius, I'm not asking you to love me. I'm asking you to consider a real partnership, not because of contracts or revenge or empires, but because we work together. Celine didn't know what to say. A week ago, she would have said no without hesitation. But now she'd seen what they could build together, what they could accomplish, what they could survive. I need time, she said finally. Take all you need. We have a year, legally. And after that? After that, we renegotiate. On equal terms. She nodded. Okay. He stood. The FBI is coming tomorrow at 9. Get some rest. He left her alone. Celine sat in the silence of the war room and thought about the past week, about the woman she'd been in that bridal suite, scared, naive, willing to marry a man who was planning to destroy her, about the woman she'd become, hard, calculating, capable of things she'd never imagined, about the woman she wanted to be. Somewhere between those two versions was the truth, and she had time now to find it. The next morning, she gave her statement to the FBI. Yes, her mother had confessed. Yes, she had evidence. Yes, she would testify. They asked about Caleb, about Hale, about the illegal shipments. She answered every question. When it was over, the lead agent thanked her. You did the right thing, he said. Celine wasn't sure she believed that, but she nodded anyway. 2 weeks later, her mother's trial began. Celine didn't attend. She watched it on the news from the compound, saw her mother in an orange jumpsuit, saw the evidence presented, saw the jury's faces when they heard the recording. Guilty on all counts, 25 years minimum. Her mother would die in prison. Celine turned off the TV, felt nothing. Or maybe she felt everything and had learned to bury it so deep it didn't show anymore. Caleb's trial was shorter. He took a plea deal. 15 years. Eligible for parole in 10. He'd be out before her mother. The irony wasn't lost on Celine. Marcus Hale fought his charges. Lost. Got 30 years. Daniel Hale cooperated. Got 7. The network was dismantled. Assets seized. Routes shut down. It took 6 months. And when it was over, Celine and Darius were left with the legitimate half. The clean routes. The legal operations. The empire her father had actually built. It was worth about $50 million, split evenly between them. They stood in the war room one last time, looking at the empty walls. What do you want to do with it? Darius asked. I don't know. What do you want? I asked you first. Celine smiled. It felt strange on her face, like a muscle she'd forgotten how to use. I think... She paused. I think I want to build something new, something that doesn't have blood on it. Like what? I don't know yet, but I have time to figure it out. Darius nodded. We both do. Are you staying? She asked. In the marriage or in the business? Both. He looked at her, really looked. Do you want me to? Celine thought about it, about the year they'd just survived, about the person he'd helped her become, about the partnership they'd forged in blood and betrayal, and something that might eventually resemble trust. Yes, she said. I do. Then I'm staying. They shook hands. It felt formal, businesslike. But when he didn't let go right away, when his thumb brushed across her knuckles in something that might have been affection, Celine felt something shift. Not love, not yet, but possibility. And that was enough. 6 months after that, Celine sold her half of the shipping empire to a legitimate logistics company. She kept $10 million, invested the rest in a foundation supporting families affected by corporate crime. Darius kept his half, ran it clean, transparent. They stayed married. Not because the contract required it, because somewhere in the chaos and the carnage, they'd learned to depend on each other, and then, gradually, to care. 1 year after the wedding that wasn't, Celine stood in front of a mirror in the compound. She didn't look like the woman who'd walked down that aisle in a power suit. She looked older, harder, but also more real. Darius appeared behind her. The anniversary of our marriage is tomorrow. Legally, we can file for divorce now. I know. Do you want to? Celine turned around, looked at him. This man who'd manipulated her and saved her and shown her exactly what she was capable of. No, she said. Do you? No. Then we don't. He smiled, small, genuine. Just like that? Just like that. He kissed her. Not desperate, not performative, just quiet, real. When they pulled apart, Celine rested her forehead against his. I'm still figuring out who I am, she said quietly. So am I. And this, us, it's not normal. Normal's overrated. She laughed. Yeah, it is. They stood like that for a long moment. Then Darius stepped back. I have something for you. He handed her a folder. She opened it. Inside was a deed to the family estate. I bought it from the federal auction, he said. Thought you might want it back. Celine stared at the document, the house where she'd grown up, where her father had lived, where her mother had planned his death. I don't know if I can go back there. You don't have to. We can sell it, donate it, burn it to the ground if that's what you need. What would you do? Honestly, I'd turn it into something your father would be proud of. A school. A shelter. Something that helps people instead of destroying them. Celine looked at the deed, then at Darius. Okay, let's do that. Yeah? Yeah. They spent the next year converting the estate into a training center for young entrepreneurs from low-income backgrounds. Celine funded it entirely, named it after her father, the Robert Hartwell Center for Ethical Business. On opening day, she stood in the sunroom where her mother had confessed to murder and watched 50 students learn about supply chains and financial planning and how to build something without destroying everything around it. Ivy was there. James, her lawyer. Even Marcus, the sound tech from the wedding. Darius stood next to her, hands in his pockets, watching the students with quiet satisfaction. He would have liked this, Celine said. Yeah, he would have. Thank you for helping me get here. You did the work. I just pointed you in the right direction. Still, he looked at her. You're welcome. That night, they drove back to the compound. It didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt like home. Celine changed out of her formal clothes, put on jeans and a sweater, poured herself a glass of wine, and stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Somewhere down there, her mother was in a cell. Caleb was in a different cell. Marcus Hale was in a third, and Celine was free. Not unscathed, not unchanged, but free. Darius joined her on the balcony. Handed her a file. What's this? She asked. The final piece. I've been holding on to it, waiting for the right time. She opened it. Inside was a letter, handwritten, her father's handwriting. Her hand started shaking. Where did you get this? He gave it to me, 3 days before he died. Told me to give it to you if anything happened to him. Celine's eyes blurred. You've had this for 3 years? I didn't know how to give it to you, what it would do to you, and then everything happened so fast. Darius, I'm sorry. I should have given it to you sooner. She looked at the letter, at her name in her father's careful script, took a breath, opened it. Celine,
If you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm sorry for leaving you, for not being stronger, for not stopping what I knew was coming.
Your mother is not who you think she is. I've known for years. Looked the other way because I loved her, because I didn't want to believe it. But I can't ignore it anymore. By the time you read this, I'll have tried to stop her and failed. I'm writing this to tell you, you are stronger than both of us, smarter than me, more capable than I ever gave you credit for. Whatever happens, whatever you become in the aftermath, don't let this destroy you. Use it. Build something better. Be better than we were. I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry I won't be there to see the woman you become. But I know she'll be extraordinary. Dad Celine read it 3 times. Then she folded it carefully, held it against her chest, and cried. Not the broken, desperate crying from before. Just grief, pure and simple. For the father she'd lost. For the illusions she'd buried. For the innocence she'd never get back. Darius didn't say anything, just stood next to her. Let her feel it. When she finally stopped, she wiped her face, looked at him. Thank you for keeping this safe. I'm sorry I didn't give it to you sooner. Don't be. I wasn't ready. She looked at the letter again. I am now. She folded it, put it in her pocket. I'm going to keep this, frame it maybe. Put it somewhere I can see it when I forget why I'm doing all this. Good. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Celine said, I've been thinking. About? About what comes next, after the center, after the trials, after all of this. What do you want? I want to live. Actually, live. Not just survive, not just fight. She turned to face him. I want to build something real with you, not because we're bound by a contract, but because we choose it. Darius's expression softened. I want that too. Even knowing what I'm capable of? Especially knowing that, she smiled. You're kind of twisted, you know that? So are you. That's why this works. He kissed her. And this time, there was nothing calculated about it. No strategy, no manipulation, just 2 people who'd survived hell and decided to build something on the other side. When they pulled apart, Celine looked out at the city. I'm not the woman I was a year ago. No, you're not. I'm harder, colder, and stronger, more honest. Is that enough? It's more than enough. It's everything. Celine thought about the woman in the bridal suite, the one who'd believed in fairy tales and happily ever afters. She was gone, dead, buried under a year of betrayal and blood and choices that couldn't be unmade. But in her place was someone else, someone who knew the world was cruel and decided to stand in it anyway. Someone who'd lost everything and built something new from the ruins. Someone who'd learned that survival wasn't about avoiding pain. It was about deciding what you'd endure and what you wouldn't. About drawing lines and defending them. About becoming exactly what you needed to be, even when it cost you everything you thought you were. Celine looked at Darius, at the man who'd shown her the darkest parts of herself and stayed anyway. I don't know if we're going to make it, she said quietly. Long term, this marriage, this partnership, all of it. Neither do I. But I want to try. So do I. She nodded. Then let's try. They went inside, closed the door on the past, and started building something that looked like a future. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be clean. But it would be theirs. And that was enough. 2 years later, Celine stood in a courtroom watching her mother's appeal get denied. The judge was firm. The evidence was clear. The sentence would stand. Her mother looked smaller, older, broken. When she saw Celine in the gallery, something flickered in her eyes. Not love, not regret, just recognition. She nodded once. Celine didn't nod back. She stood, walked out, never looked back. Outside, Darius was waiting. How do you feel? He asked. Free. Good. They drove home. The compound had changed, softer now. They'd replaced the stark furniture with things that felt lived in. Added photos, books, a dog that Celine had rescued from a shelter. It looked like a home, felt like one too. That night, they had dinner on the balcony, talked about the center, about the new shipping routes Darius was opening, about the foundation Celine was expanding. Normal things, boring things, beautiful things. When they finished, Celine leaned back in her chair and looked at the stars. Do you ever think about that day? The wedding? Sometimes. Do you regret it? Darius thought about it. No. Do you? No. She looked at him. I regret trusting Caleb. I regret not seeing my mother for what she was. But marrying you? That I don't regret. Even though I manipulated you into it? Even though, she smiled, because you also gave me the tools to survive it, and everything that came after. We gave each other that. Yeah, we did. They sat in comfortable silence, and for the first time in 3 years, Celine felt something she'd thought she'd lost forever. Peace. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. The knowledge that she'd survived the worst and come out stronger, that she'd faced her demons and won, that she'd become exactly who she needed to be. Not perfect, not innocent, but real and alive and free. She reached across the table, took Darius's hand. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For being exactly what I needed, even when I didn't know I needed it. He squeezed her hand. You did the same for me. They sat like that, hands joined, eyes on the city below. Two people who'd started as strangers and become something neither of them had expected. Partners. Equals. Maybe even something more. The future stretched ahead. Uncertain. Complicated. But theirs. And that was enough. Celine closed her eyes, breathed in the night air, felt her father's letter in her pocket, and knew, finally, that she'd honored his last wish. She'd become extraordinary, not in spite of what had happened, but because of it. And somewhere, she hoped he was proud. The wind shifted. The city lights flickered, and Celine Hartwell, survivor, fighter, heir to an empire built on secrets and reborn in truth, smiled, because she'd learned the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to destroy everything you thought you were and build something new from the ashes. That strength isn't about avoiding pain, it's about deciding what you'll become because of it. That love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's choosing to stand next to someone in the wreckage and rebuild together. And that justice, real justice, isn't about revenge. It's about making sure the people you love didn't die for nothing. She'd done that, finally, completely. And now she could rest. Not forever, but for tonight. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, new battles. But tonight, she was just Celine. Not a victim, not a weapon. Just a woman who'd survived hell and decided to keep living anyway. And that was the greatest victory of all.